us on YouTube/Chatterbox Sports. We ask you, please subscribe to the program. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook, where this show is streaming on the Chatterbox Sports page. You can also find us in podcast form, wherever you get your podcast. Just search Off the Bench with Thom, Brennaman, and you're dialed in. Bengals are back at it on the practice field yesterday. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joseph Asai, and Trent Taylor were listed as limited on the injury report yesterday. Hayden Hurst apparently was out of his walking boot, but is not expected to play this Sunday. Joe Burrow showed up on the list, limited with what's being called an elbow issue. The Buccaneers, meanwhile, have been without starting left tackle Tristan Wirfs for the last 2 weeks. He was on the practice field yesterday with hopes of returning for this Sunday's game. Game time is 4:25. Matt Matera, who covers the Bucs in Tampa, will join us today at 10:30 to talk all that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jerry Jones, you know he signed T.Y. Hilton earlier this week. There's a strong chance that he will play against Jacksonville this weekend, where with a win, the Cowboys clinch a playoff spot. Jones now apparently is talking again about Odell Beckham Jr. He said that it's still in play, and to borrow his words, he says, stand by. College football. Ohio State star running back Travion Henderson will miss the college football playoff due to foot surgery. Henderson has missed about half the year with the injury. That means the Buckeyes are leaning heavily upon former Winton Woods standout Mayan Williams and freshman tailback Dallin Hayden against the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. Both college football playoff games will be played on New Year's Eve. In World Cup action, the final is set. Argentina v. France after the French beat Morocco yesterday 2-0. The final is Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. College basketball. UC hosted Travis Steele's Miami Redhawks last night, and the Bearcats score the most points, right, Paul Fritchner, they've ever had under Wes Miller.
That's exactly right.
103-76. David DeJulius leads away with 22. Cats are 7-4. They'll host LaSalle on Saturday afternoon. After an 0-9 start, Louisville picks up its first win last night, 94-83 over Western Kentucky. And watch out for UCLA. Mick Cronin's got it going on. Again, the Bruins rout number 20 Maryland in College Park, 87-60. UCLA 9-2 on the season. In baseball, the Dodgers signed Noah Syndergaard to a 1-year deal. No terms were announced. Syndergaard split last season between the Angels and the Phillies. Now, look, before we get to Paul Doherty, who joins us in a matter of moments, all Bengals fans are in stunned disbelief about what's going on Twitter with Zim Houdet. Apparently, fellas, good morning, Casey, good morning, Paul, good morning, Brandon. His account has been suspended because of some back and forth, I guess it was going on between Zim and some Cleveland Browns fans. Is that correct? Could one of you explain this to me?
A stinking Browns fan? Are you kidding me?
That's the word on the street.
Wow. Twitter.
Paul, can you add anything to this?
Yeah, so usually what happens when your account gets suspended is that after 3 days, I think it's 3 days, you can apply to come back, basically. And then if you violate whatever Twitter determined you violated the first time, then you're gone for good. Now, every case is different, but that's how it generally is. So today, as you see here on the screen, is day 3. I'm pretty sure if it's just normal, if it's just standard like it usually is with a suspension, then he could apply to come back today, but who knows what it actually is. And, yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I didn't see exactly what it was that went down, but if it's really just some Browns fans that got pissed off and they can't take the heat, well, that's stupid. It's one thing if you're, like, impersonating somebody. It's another thing if you're just doing that. What?
I mean, like, come on. We know the team stinks. The fans, they really stink.
You know, the whole Twitter thing has obviously been in the news, and we're not getting into the politics at all of it, and Elon Musk buying Twitter and all that kind of thing. But I read a story, I think 2 days ago, about parents whose daughter was involved in some kind of explicit video of some kind. And I don't know enough about Twitter to know what their rules and regulations. Hell, I don't think they know inside of Twitter what their rules and regulations are, to be completely honest. And I think that's been proven, especially the last number of days. But apparently they appealed to Twitter. The girl is 18 now, or 19. And there's this video that's still on Twitter, and they had gone to the people at Twitter, and they had said, hey, look, this is just continuing to just traumatize and destroy our daughter. Could you please just take this video down? Please, could you take it down? And they were told no. Okay? We're not going to get into that whole story, but they were told no, we're not going to do it. So to think that some dude named Zim Hude is suspended from Twitter. I'm sure there was colorful language in there. He and I were texting back and forth. He drops a couple of F-bombs on him or something to that extent. I don't know how far it went because I've not seen him. But, I mean, come on. I mean, we got real issues of people out there and stuff going on, and he's suspended his account.
That's tough because you work so hard to build your brand and do all those things for years and build up who you are. And Twitter is what you got. I mean, Twitter would be – it's tough. If you're in sports and you're not on Twitter, it's a tough scene. And Zim had everybody on there. I think he's back on maybe a different account.
Yeah, he's currently operating out of the Cincinnati podcast Twitter account.
Okay.
So he's not completely vanished from Twitter. He's still kicking around, probably still chatting it up in those the spaces, Twitter spaces.
Well, I'm told here by one of our viewers in the chat that anyone can get suspended for hate speech or bullying. I mean, look, I think that that's fair to say, but let's be honest about it. There is just so much hate out there in this world. I just find myself, getting discouraged about it every single day, whether it's stuff they write about me or it's stuff they write about other people, more importantly. I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that people spend their time looking to send out messages and let their voices be heard of some of the stuff that's out there. It's just mind-boggling to me. I just can't believe it. There's a lot of good out there. I mean, obviously there's a lot of good you can do there and helping other people or promoting your brand or whatever it might be. But it's just so over the top and out of control. And I don't have the answers. I'm not smart enough to figure it out. So we got Paul Doherty coming up here in a matter of moments. Let me know when he's in the house.
I will.
I'm really interested to talk to Doc today. He writes the morning line since retiring from the Cincinnati Enquirer on Substack.com. And you can find his columns. He's writing on average anywhere from 2, 3, 4 a week. About everything going on. Not just sports, but, things going on about where you can go to have a beer or where you can go hiking or get outside if the weather's good, all kinds of different stuff. But his column yesterday or the day before had the headline on it, "Baseball is Dead." That was the headline. And it goes into all of these signings and all of this money that's being spent, and the amount of money that's being spent, and the money that's being spent on what players are out there.
You want me to pull it in?
Yeah, pull it up. I mean, it just, he picks out Brandon Nimmo from the New York Mets and lays out the case. Getting into Nimmo, what his career stats look like. He even dives into a couple of the analytical stats that Paul has admitted he's not all that familiar with and not necessarily a big fan of, but to lay out the point that even by certain metrics and analytics that, Nimmo's getting $20+ million a year. And, that's where we are. I remember I was talking to a guy last night, and I know you guys remember. It's 9 years ago when the Reds gave Joey Votto a 10-year contract for $25 million a year, $250 million. $250 million. And we all thought, wow. And ever since then, that money now, I'm not going to say it's tip money, but that money now is damn near close to tip money for what they're paying some of these guys.
It really is.
Well,
To play into their 40s. Trey Turner, Kevin Correa, or Carlos Correa, and who's the third one? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Aaron Judge. All three of those guys are going to be 41 years old when that contract expires that they just signed.
When you look at the NBA, that's why the NBA has been so popular, or one of the reasons why the NBA has just exploded in popularity in the last decade or so is because when free agency opens, the players sign so quickly because they have the salary cap. They know exactly how much, basically. They know exactly how much money they're going to make. They don't need to figure out how much money they're going to make. They just pick a team. It's done within a week. But instead, I remember when Bryce Harper was going to leave the Nationals, and it was, is he going to come back? Is he going to go somewhere else? Where's he going to go? Season ends in October. Then you're waiting. And it's February before he signs. There's no part of sports is a predetermined excitement. We know that we turn on a game at 1 o'clock, and about 3:30 our heart's going to be racing, right, on an NFL Sunday. About 3:30, 3:40, you're really kicked into high gear. Free agency can be a part of that in the offseason. You have to keep your fans involved as the offseason goes along. The winter meetings do that a little bit, but there was an article the other day that the winter meetings, I don't want to say you're going to cease to exist because I didn't get into it all that deeply, but they're not going to look the same as they have. To me, free agency is look what the NFL's done with the draft. The NFL is a 12-month sport because they have the draft, they have OTAs, they have training
camp, whatever.
They have free agency, they have everything else. And the NBA is the same way in the summer. You have the summer league, you have free agency. And everybody knows that when NBA free agency opens at midnight, it can happen right away. And boom, it just explodes. Baseball, again, forget the money. That's another way to draw people in and create some excitement. But because there's no salary cap, that'll never happen.
I had a conversation with a guy last night who spends a lot of time around a certain major league player's father who is from this area, who would look really good in a Reds uniform, and the fan base would get very, very excited about having this guy playing for the Cincinnati Reds. Now, this guy shared with me last night that the Reds have not even picked up the phone and called the guy's agent. Now, I was not surprised to hear that because the Reds are not going to go out and spend this winter in this rebuild. They're not going to go pay some player $14, $15, $16, $17 million. Not going to happen, even if you're getting him at a quote-unquote hometown discount. It's just not going to happen. So, boy, I just can't believe where baseball is. It breaks my heart because it was such a phenomenal game for a long time. The pace at which it was played, and I know they're trying to address that. Most games were 2 hours and 27 minutes. I think the average was 234 average. Now you're up over 308, 310, somewhere in that neighborhood. People blame television commercials. That's part of it, but that's not the issue here. Get them in a batter's box, play the game, call more strikes, make hitters swing the bat, and get pitchers on the rubber and throw the ball. You're a big baseball guy, Paul.
I very much enjoy baseball, yes.
So Doc has talked before and written before about you've become, I'm assuming, even though you didn't grow up in the area, you become a Reds fan.
Sure.
Okay, you're a Reds fan. Okay. So can you buy into the idea of just going down to the ballpark and enjoying a beautiful summer night, have a couple of beers with your girlfriend, with your buddies, whatever it might be, and not get all wrapped up or emotionally charged up about the Reds not winning?
Well, look, I mean, I know I probably am an outlier because of how much I like baseball, but I go to a lot of Reds games. I mean, I like this past year, I probably went to, 15 or 20.
Really?
Like I very much, because it's so cheap. I can go down there. I can park for $5. I can walk up to the window on the day of the game and say, give me the cheapest thing you have available, which is like $10. I just say cheapest available, $10. No ushers really check where you're sitting. And you walk down, you sit 5 rows behind the dugout with a $10 beer. You're listening to everything the players are saying. Now, ideally, that experience doesn't happen forever, because if that experience is happening, it probably means your team isn't very good.
That's right.
But as somebody that very much loves the sport and enjoys being around the sport and watching the games that closely, I like going down there and getting that experience. But I know I'm also on the younger side and don't have a family, and if it's 5 o'clock on a Tuesday and I see the game starts at 6:30 and I say, well, I got nothing going on tonight, might as well go down to the Reds.
Sure.
game. I can do that.
Yeah.
So I know that I have the flexibility that not everybody has, but at the same time, I think the point remains that, yeah, I mean, I love going down and just spending a summer night. And if they win, I enjoy the Reds because I'm here, and I didn't have time last summer to watch as many other teams as I probably should have. I didn't have MLB TV last year, so I'm not sitting there watching a ton of other games like I have in years past. Last year was the first year I didn't have it in forever. And so that means that I'm subjected to having to watch. If I want to watch baseball, I'm watching Bally Sports. I'm watching the Reds. I can't watch the Nationals every night.
Right.
So because of that, I mean, I've kind of just by default turned into watching the Reds, and I like going down there. I enjoy it.
All right, we talked about the Morning Line. You can find themorningline.substack.com, written by legendary Cincinnati Enquirer sports columnist, former sports columnist at the Enquirer since retiring, Paul Daugherty. Doc, we put up on the screen your most recent column, unless you had one this morning that I missed, but the headline on it, we put it up on the screen a moment ago, baseball is dead. Why?
Because the New York Mets just spent $160 million on Brandon Nimmo, who was the kind of the working definition of pretty good. If the Mets are spending that kind of money for a player like that, what are the Reds going to do?
Well, what are they going to do? I mean, it's not like all of a sudden, and we've covered a little bit of this ground before about, it's the only major sport that doesn't have a salary cap.
Yeah.
And so teams can spend into oblivion. I mean, it's just, the Correa contract the other day, they're going to pay the guy till he's 41 years old, over $1/3 $1 billion. I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, the players aren't going to listen to anything about salary cap until the owners open up their books. And if you're the players, why would you consider salary cap until the owners open the books?
Well, and it doesn't – people say to me, well, why can't they just do what the NFL does? Well, it's a totally different economy. They don't have the NFL's TV contract, first and foremost, first, last, and always, actually. I mean, the national TV contract, the NFL, dwarfs baseballs, and it allows the NFL to do what it does, which is share the revenue equally. In the meantime, baseball, each team keeps all its own media money, local TV, regional networks, all that stuff. And obviously, New York and Los Angeles and bigger markets are going to have numbers for revenues from television and media that are going to dwarf smaller markets like this one. So I don't know how they solve this problem, Tom. Maybe they make it a requirement that to own a baseball team, you've got to be a billionaire a few times over. You've got to prove that you can afford to pay Brandon Nimmo $160 million for 8 years.
Ken Rosenthal, who's been covering baseball as well as anybody over the last 25 years. Guy does a great job. You see him on Fox during the postseason, but he is a writer at heart and writes now for The Athletic. His story yesterday says the Reds are one of the franchises who ought to consider selling the team and bringing in new ownership. You and I both know that's not going to happen.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't know, and who, I mean, who do they sell it to, and who's to say that owner won't be a better steward or will be a better steward than Castellini is, although some fans would argue anybody would be better. But I don't know. It's a very difficult situation. We've talked about this a million times because you don't go into spring training with a lot of hope. You go into spring training hoping that you'll win 5 or 10 more games than you won last year. Gee, I hope we don't lose 100 again this year, And that's why baseball sliding and football, one of the many reasons that football is far more popular these days, because the way the economics work in football, every team theoretically has hope coming into the season. And if they don't take advantage of that, it's their own fault. It's not because they're at the bottom end of the payroll sheet.
Let's shift gears over to the Bengals. I know you were out of town over the weekend and didn't have a chance necessarily to watch much, if any, of the Bengals win against Cleveland. It was a good, solid win. Got that monkey off their back. Burrow finally able to beat the Browns for the first time in his career. Ended a 5-game losing streak overall to Cleveland. And now all of a sudden, the beat goes on. The momentum continues to gain, but also the injuries. Doc, we've talked a little bit about this before. I don't know what they're paying Duke Tobin down there. He's a de facto general manager of this team without necessarily having that title. If there is one guy that's in line to get as big a pay raise as there is for any executive in the NFL, it has to be this guy with the depth this team has displayed so far this year.
Yeah, anybody can pick Joe Burrow overall in the first round, number one. That doesn't take any brains whatsoever. You and I could do it, which proves that. But you make your bones with the lower rounds. The guys starting with the third, fourth, fifth round of the draft, and then picking up guys off waivers or acquiring a guy like Samaje Perine. Drafted Cam Taylor-Britt. These are the guys that are keeping them afloat, in my opinion. The good work that Tobin and his people have done in finding guys that you probably didn't even know much about, if at all, in August, but are helping them save their bacon, the Trenton Irwins of the world. But you know what, Tom? As long as they have a healthy Joe Burrow and a healthy offensive line, the other injuries will be problematic, but not devastating. I don't know of one other guy that they could lose that would wreck their season. Right. They lose Burrow, the season is wrecked. If they lose, I don't know, DJ Reader, who's having a great year, they lose him, they'll get by. They did. They have. I look at the schedule now, Tom, and it's difficult, but I don't see anybody on that schedule that they can't beat. They get the Bills here. I think they're as good or better than the Bills right now. They get the Ravens here. They're definitely better than the Ravens right now. They'll have a tricky game in New England, but that's certainly a winnable game. And then they got the game Sunday, which they should win by a couple of touchdowns. So they can finish this thing up 13-4 after starting 2-3, and then we'll wait and see what happens after that. But I don't see any team in the NFL that's head and shoulders better than the Bengals right now.
I'm with you all the way. The Joe Burrow talk of MVP is starting to crank up a little bit. But before I let you go, right now, Jalen Hurts is a guy. I mean, if the vote were taken today, he's going to win in a landslide. Do you think Burrow over these next 4 weeks has a chance to win that thing?
I think in theory he does. In practice, he doesn't. I mean, we've talked about this too. We kind of live in the shadow of flyover country around here. The guys here can be as good as guys elsewhere, but they don't get talked about. Patrick Mahomes, and he's in flyover country as well, but he's kind of unique. and then the national media have latched on to him. Tua Tagovailoa was a passing fling, right? Everybody, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was a top 3 MVP guy. He's not anymore. So sure, if Burrow keeps playing the way he's playing now, he'll be high on the list, but he's not in the major media market, and Cincinnati does not have the cachet that some of these other teams do. So unfortunately, and I don't know if he cares or not, maybe it drives him, maybe he couldn't care less. I don't think he's going to be the MVP.
All right, Doc, thank you for your time. Welcome back home. You got the TML lid, although we can't see it at that angle. You got it going there. And I'm told here by Trace Fowler, our CEO, that between Chatterbox swag, TML swag, we're going to get it all going.
You got to open a little shop there right next to the studio.
Well, we've got the biggest shop in town right outside here with headlines. They make all the uniforms for every high school team, boys and girls in the entire
There
region.
you go.
In fact, they even make Miami of Ohio's uniforms here. It's big league operation. Doc, thanks for the time, my man.
Bowl? One
What's
question.
that?
You going to watch the Fenway Bowl?
I am.
You are. You're lying.
I'm going to watch it. I mean, it's a weekend. It's Saturday. I mean, why not?
Saturday morning at 11 o'clock.
Even better.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, man. Have a great weekend.
All right, Tom. Thanks. See you.
Good to see you. Paul Doherty, kind enough to join us. And as promised, we're going to jump right in with Matt, right? You want to take a break first? Okay, let's take a break. We're back with Matt Matera. If you want to know what's going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is a guy. He covers them morning, noon, and night. He's got a tremendous following from the fan base of the Buccaneers, and he will join us next to talk about this weekend's matchup in just a moment.
At United Dairy Farmers, we've perfected freshness in our family bakery, where we use only the finest ingredients, like thick, high-quality glazes on our signature donuts, before delivering them fresh from bakery to store every day. UDF, made for you.
If your AC or furnace is struggling, turn to the experts at Bartell's Heating and Cooling. Their certified technicians get the job done right the first time, and if you need a new unit, Bartell's will give you upfront pricing with no hidden fees. Plus, ask about Bartell's 0% interest financing for 60 months. Learn more at bartellsheatingandcooling.com. Bartell's Heating and Cooling, for a comfortable way of life. Eli's Sports Bar and Grill, proudly sponsoring high school football with 3 locations in Mason, Liberty Township, and Ross, Ohio. Our 10-foot screens guarantee a great view from every seat in the house. Eli's Sports Bar and Grill, the best place in Cincinnati for sports, food, and fun.
Where can you turn when you're in pain? Turn where more high school, college, and pro athletes turn. Where your neighbors and weekend warriors turn. Turn to Beacon Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and get superior care on your schedule. That's the Beacon difference.
Check out our fresh arrivals at Jake Swinney Used Cars. Over 250 used vehicles weekly. All makes, all models. From economy to luxury, Jake Swinney, the original used car superstore.
And
Whoa, Casey, we're back.
we're back. And you know what that means?
We're
It's
gonna
that
play
time of the show, the Ham and Eggers. These guys are great. Trust me, I would know. I introduce all the best segments.
Casey, what do you have for me today?
Well, today is a very special day.
Why is today a special day, Casey?
Because every day is a special day when we have a special guest and we have our host back
Well, that was a very quick
very,
segment.
very quick. I thought we had a little more time. That's kind of why I
Well, then
wanted
we'll
to run
save it.
But
We'll
save it for later for the audience.
All right, go ahead.
Tom?
We'll circle back with you guys, okay?
Yeah.
This is a new segment. You guys have taken the time to come up with the idea and now the execution of the idea. And so we are definitely going to circle back on that today. No Tracy Jones today, by the way. As you know, Tracy and his wife, Danae, are traveling across the country via train. And so they're changing trains right around the time he normally comes on at 11:30 in Chicago, making their way to California. And so no Tracy Jones today. So we got lots of time to circle back. We're very grateful to have Matt help me here real quick. It is pronounced Matera. Is that correct?
Yes, you nailed it. That's
All
correct.
Right, good. I want to make sure I got it straight. Thank you, really, for your time today. You have an unbelievable following down there in Tampa Bay and for the Buccaneers. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing each and every day.
Yeah, so I'm a beat writer and digital content creator for PewterReport.com. I'm essentially the vice president of the company, second in command. And Pewter Report's been around for over 25 years now. I've been lucky enough to be a part of them for about 4.5, 5 years now. So I've seen some bad, some great, and then kind of tapering off right now. But we have a website, started out as a magazine, then transitioned over to a website where we have content every single day, a lot of inside information. We're at every practice, every press conference, and we have a podcast that goes 4 times a week on our YouTube channel as well, the Pewter Report podcast. So just anything Tampa Bay Buccaneers that you need, we are the website to go to for it.
Great stadium, great fan base. I've been there dozens and dozens of times throughout my career, and obviously huge expectations when the season started. Brady retires. He decides he's going to come back. Bruce Arians is no longer going to be the coach. Todd Bowles takes over. Let's just walk through a little bit at a time if you have some time. We know what the team's record is. We know the way they've played, and we'll circle back to that in a minute as it pertains to this weekend's matchup with the Bengals. But the whole Arians stepping aside, Bowles thing coming in, how has that been?
Yeah, it's really interesting, the timeline in general. I vividly remember going to the NFL owners meetings in West Palm Beach in March. And typically we're there, we get to speak to the owner, the GM, and the head coach, which at the time was Bruce Arians. And they said, oh, Bruce isn't going to be there. It's a personal matter. So initially we all thought I hope everything's okay. Then we find out a couple of days later that he is essentially retiring. He now works in the front office for the Bucs as essentially a consultant. And he gave the job to Todd Bowles. And that was part of his whole plan, was a succession plan. He wanted to give an opportunity for his assistant coaches around him, whether it's Todd Bowles. Byron Leftwich was getting some head coaching consideration, most notably with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he wanted to make sure that everything was in place for the guys around him to get elevated into a higher position. Now, with that said, the entire coaching staff has been here since Bruce Arians got there in 2019. So in terms of getting to know the players, understanding the scheme and the system, that really wasn't anything different because they had been there since 2019. It's mostly the same players. Sure, you get turnover every year, and there's the draft, and there's free agency, but the core nucleus of players were still there for the Bucs. The offensive players needed to know Todd Bowles a little bit more, but nonetheless, most of it was relatively the same, which kind of makes this season even more disappointing, where, sure, there's a new head coach, but it's a guy that you've known for multiple years now.
Is it safe to say, Matt, that the single biggest issue, and whether it's guys that left through free agency, whether it was retirement, whether it's been injuries during the course of the year, the offensive line is the one unit of this team that's been in the most disarray? Is that fair to say, or am I wrong on that?
I would say it's pretty fair. I would say either the offensive line or really, more importantly, the play calling by Byron Leftwich. Now, I'll start with the offensive line. They suffered 2 huge blows. Well, Ali Marpet, their perennial Pro Bowl left guard. Well, he should have been a Pro Bowler for most of his career, but the Bucs weren't successful, so he only made his first Pro Bowl last season. He decided to retire, but he was without question their best offensive lineman. And then Ryan Jensen, he's their tone setter. He's the nasty type of offensive lineman that'll get in your face and set the tempo. He injured his knee on the second day of training camp and has not been able to return. So that's been a catastrophic injury there. So there was a ton of turnover. And of course, their right guard, Alex Kappa, he signed with the Bengals. So they lost another starting offensive lineman. And then, so you have a new offensive guard. They went with the rookie Luke Gedeke, and that just didn't pan out. He struggled heavily. Shaq Mason's over there at right guard, and he's been playing solid, but as a unit, cohesively, offensive line hasn't been great. Tom Brady hasn't trusted them as much, so he's getting rid of the ball quickly, and that's why you're suffering from the chunk plays down the field, which the Bucs were fantastic at last season, and now you don't have as many options. Julio Jones has been solid lately, but he obviously is dealing with injuries all of the time, just popped up on the injury report again. And Russell Gage, their other big free agent signing, he just hasn't lived up to the hype. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury since training camp, missed a couple of games, just came back 2 weeks ago. So they've been getting a lot of underperformance from their offensive line and their wide receivers, and their play calling has just been extremely predictable by Byron Leftwich. When you have all the talent that they had in 2020 and 2021, whether it was Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski, you can get away by just out-talenting other teams, but that hasn't been the case this year, and the offense really hasn't adjusted well enough where they keep coming up with the same plays. Defenses are calling it out, saying, here comes the screen, here comes this play, and that's kind of led to the turmoil that's been a team that averaged 30 points per game last season at one point of the season, and now they're barely getting to 17, 18.
I know you can't get in a guy's head, but we talked about this very early in the season with Joe Burrow. The offensive line with the Bengals, they have 4 brand new starters from the team that went to the Super Bowl a year ago. The only carryover was a starting left tackle. Zach Taylor decided not to play those guys a single snap together during the preseason. And in the first 2 games of the regular season, they give up 13 sacks. And, it started to at least look like Burrow might be getting a little gun shy. And hell, who could blame him, right? Do you think, when I watch Tampa Bay play, and I've watched them play a lot, it looks to me that there's a chance Brady would have good reason to feel a little gun shy. Do you feel that way at all or no?
Yeah, I think he's getting rid of the ball a lot quicker than he has during his time in Tampa. He's more willing to just dump a pass off to, a tight end in the flat or a running back coming out of the backfield, then hold on to it for another second or two to take the deep shot down the field to Mike Evans or Chris Godwin or even Scotty Miller, who made the infamous catch at the end of halftime in the NFC Championship game against the Packers 2 seasons ago. He's getting rid of the ball quickly, and typically that's a good thing. In the past, Brady has helped the offensive line by getting rid of the ball so quickly, but in an odd way, he's almost throwing it too fast where the Bucs can't get these chunk plays down the field. They're relying heavily on the screen game, and that just hasn't worked to perfection. Part of it is they keep going to Chris Godwin, who's a great player, but he's also coming back from a serious ACL injury that he got hurt right around this time last season. And, he's recovered enough to be able to play, but I wouldn't say he's fully 100%. So Brady just not trusting his offensive line. And I don't blame him. He's 45 years old. Getting hit hurts, especially at his age. And he doesn't want to take a lot of hits. So he's more likely to get rid of the ball quickly. And he wanted to rely on a solid run game, but the Bucs have one of the lowest rushing yards per game in the season out of anyone in the league. So haven't been able to rely on the run game, and Brady's kind of been asked to do it all, and at this point he's just not able to because he can't go down the field.
All right, I read some news yesterday about, Wirfs was out on the practice field at least yesterday. He's not doing all the stuff that they need him to be able to do to be ready to go this week, but they're hoping that is the case. Donovan Smith, I believe, basically in the same kind. Where are they with the offensive line on who you think is actually going to play this week?
Yeah, I don't think Tristan Wirfs is going to be able to play again, which is really tough for the Bucs. He's without question their best offensive lineman. He plays right tackle. He was an All-Pro last season. He's well on his way to being the best offensive lineman in the Buccaneers' history, and he's only in his 3rd season, so We all think very highly of him. Donovan Smith, he struggled heavily this year. And, before Tom Brady got there in 2020, the memo on Donovan Smith was that, he's a solid player, but sometimes his technique just gets in the way and he allows a sack if he could just stick with it a little bit more. And then his game turned around. I don't know if it's, the Brady magic and people just wanting to play well for Tom Brady, but this season he's committed a lot of extremely costly holding penalties. It negated a touchdown on Sunday against the 49ers. If you watch the Monday night game against the Saints, before they scored the game-winning touchdown with Rashad White, they scored a touchdown with Chris Godwin, but that was brought back because of a holding penalty on Donovan Smith. So he's having not just bad penalties, but penalties that are literally costing them points, where points have been at a premium for the Bucs this season. So Todd Bowles was asked about if he's considered making a change at left tackle, and he said they've considered everything, but Donovan Smith is their best option right now. That's partially because Tristan Wirfs is injured right now, so their top backup offensive tackle is already starting with Wirfs out. Wirfs should probably be out another week or two. He was out there, not in uniform or actually practicing, but just being out there with the teammates is a step in the right direction, and they need him desperately in the worst way, because even at a 6-7 record, they're fighting to win the division and could potentially host a playoff game, as crazy as it sounds, and they'll definitely need him for the final stretch.
All right, well, let's talk about then the matchup this weekend. Bengals coming to town. They were a Super Bowl team a year ago. They were 4-4. Now they've ripped off 5 straight wins. They're starting to look like a bona fide contender to get back to the Super Bowl again. Yet the Bengals have their fair share of injuries. Nobody in the league wants to hear about it because everybody has their own. What's the feeling? What's the expectation? Knowing that, Tampa Bay very much is trying to fight its way into the playoff spot, as you just mentioned a moment ago. It's a desperate team for sure. What's the feeling about this matchup this weekend down your way?
The feeling for a lot of, Bucs media and Bucs fans is, I hope they don't get debilitating and beat up again like they did against the 49ers. They lost 35-7 to the San Francisco 49ers, to Brock Purdy, their starting quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant from last season. They made a rookie quarterback in his first career game look like an all-pro. So, you allowed that many points, and I don't want to knock the defense too much, because for most of the season, it's been the Bucs defense that has kept them in games. But the Bucs offense has been so bad at this point that you can't, even with Tom Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, you can't expect them to get into a shootout with anyone, especially the Bengals with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And I know some of the other receivers are potentially injured right now, but still, if you have Burrow and Jamar Chase, that almost might be good enough against this Bucs team that is struggling to score points. Like, if you score 20 against the Bucs, you probably have a good chance of winning. So I think a lot of Bucs fans and media are just hoping that Tampa Bay doesn't get blown out again, because they're not going to be able to go stride for stride with the Bengals. And I know you don't want to talk about injuries, but the defense, the one saving grace for the Bucs, with the exception of last week, they're missing their best safety, Antoine Winfield Jr., their other starting corner, Jamel Dean, who you could argue has been the best corner this season. He's not going to play. He's in a walking boot right now. And Todd Bowles said that he's doubtful that Vita Vea, their nose tackle, their best interior defensive lineman that leads the team with 6.5 sacks, he's doubtful to play. So you're talking about the 3 best players, or 2 of the 3 best players on the Bucs defense not being available to try to shut down Joe Burrow. Could be tough sledding once again for the Bucs.
I know you don't have a crystal ball, Matt, but whether the Buccaneers get into the playoffs or whether they don't, do you think Tom Brady's a quarterback of the Buccaneers next year?
Personally, I don't. I think Tom Brady will continue to play football in the NFL, but I don't think it'll be with the Bucs. I think just seeing the writing on the wall, what's happened with the Bucs this season, I'm not saying there's complete turmoil within the organization, but clearly something just isn't right with the offense, whether it's Byron Leftwich, whether it's, communication. I mean, him and Mike Evans haven't been on the same page, which is just mind-boggling to say, because this was a quarterback wide receiver tandem that connected for 14 touchdowns last season. That was Mike Evans' career best and a franchise best. Now he only has 3 this season, and they can't seem to connect on the deep ball at all. I just think there's a different viewpoint in how the Bucs offense looks. I think Brady would like a little bit more structure, where the Bucs coaching staff is kind of just saying, all right, here, Tom, here you go. Do whatever you want. I think there's a misconception that everyone thinks that Tom Brady wants to be the Peyton Manning type of guy that comes in and changes every single play and will call plays and do this formation. Brady really only calls the plays when they're in an up-tempo, no-huddle situation late in the half or late in the game. And that's honestly where the Bucs have been the best, is when Brady is calling the plays, which goes back to their issues with their offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich. So I think one way you could convince him to stay is that if Byron Leftwich is let go at the end of the season and they bring in an offensive coordinator to Brady's liking. But ultimately, I think he's ready to move on, play for another team that has a little bit more structure, a little bit more of weapons on both sides of the ball on offense and defense. So I think he keeps playing, just not with the Bucs.
All right, are you in the prediction business, Matt? You making a prediction on this game, or is that not your cup of tea?
Yeah, we have a weekly story on Fridays where we give our prediction in the game. I haven't come up with a total score yet, but I'm definitely picking the Bengals to win this one again, because I don't think that the Bucs offense can keep up with what Cincinnati can do on the offensive side of the ball. The Bucs defense just doesn't get turnovers anymore. They don't get interceptions, and that's what stopped their defense from being great. They're good right now, but they're not great because they're not creating enough turnovers. So I'm gonna say the Bengals win this one. If I'm going to throw out a score, I would say Bengals 27, Bucs 14. They just don't score a lot. I don't see that changing on Sunday.
All right, look, last thing, and I know you watch a lot of football, not just Tampa Bay Buccaneers football, but Tampa Bay is one of the few teams in the league that after this Sunday will have played the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals. And most people feel like those are the top 3 contenders. I know a lot of people put Baltimore in that group, but with all of their issues at quarterback and lack thereof health at quarterback, who knows? If you had to pick one of those 3 teams to go to the Super Bowl, which one would you pick?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs because they're all 3 teams, their offenses are incredible, but I think what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do, especially since they lost Tyreek Hill, and it looks like that their offense hasn't really missed a beat. I think that's really impressive what they've done. The Bills are just, again, a very talented team, but I think they're so reliant on Josh Allen, where Josh Allen has to be great every single week. And if he's not great, then the team suffers a little bit. I will say I think the Bills probably have the best defense when fully healthy, but, their safety got hurt. Von Miller got hurt. I know the Chiefs defense struggled against the Broncos last week, but they seem to turn it up in, the big crunch time moments. So I'm going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs. Wouldn't rule out the Bengals either. Obviously, Joe Burrow's a fascinating player, and the defense probably deserves more credit than most people give it. But if I have to pick one, I'm picking the Chiefs.
Okay. I mean, you're well aware, Matt. I mean, you're an educated guy. Bengals have beaten the Chiefs 3 times in this calendar year.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's absolutely true. But it's tough to argue that point. I would just say try beating Mahomes a 4th time. I think that's
okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's a great point. Matt, really appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much for joining us, and the best of luck on everything, and an early Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on. Merry Christmas to you as well, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. You do the same. Looking forward to the Buccaneers and the Bengals. How about that?
He's good.
He's great. Guy's great. I'll be interested to see if he look, one game, he's not going to change his tune. Bengals have proven they can go on the road and beat Kansas City. They beat them in the AFC Championship game last year. You don't want to make a living doing that.
No.
And so, you heard Paul Daugherty, and we've talked about it, fellas, and we'll talk more about it today, that if the Bengals went out, now you would need Kansas City to lose another game somewhere along the line. What's the rest of Kansas City's schedule, by the way?
I'm pulling it up right now. It's
I got it.
You got it?
Yep. So they play the Texans.
All right, so let's start here. That is a Lance. I mean, the Cowboys fans probably thought the same thing last week, but I mean, let's face it. Kansas City's going to kill Houston. All right, next.
Seahawks, Christmas Eve.
Where's that game?
In Kansas City.
When?
Christmas Eve.
Broncos, New Year's Day.
Where?
Kansas City.
All right, what's the last game? This is the last hope.
The Raiders.
Oh, my God.
At Vegas, though. That's the saving grace right there.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Allegiant Stadium on January 8th. Everybody knows that. If there's one thing we know about this league, it's that nobody goes to Allegiant Stadium in Week 18 and wins a game.
There is a very sliver of a chance. There's the smallest chance that the Bengals could get first place with that. I mean, Seahawks really are the only team I can see, and then maybe Broncos, just by the way that they played last week. But I don't know, man. That's tough to ask.
Chiefs are winning out. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Fellas, if you're wondering, just for the record,
go.
This is another little nugget. We got into the whole Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes thing and Tom Brady and blah, 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 blah. Patrick Mahomes in his short career is 25-3 inside his division. 25-3. And to put that in perspective, and this isn't laying the blame on Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has lost 3 division games this season. Patrick Mahomes has lost 3 in 5 years. And that's not a bad division.
Let's get Patrick Mahomes in the AFC North and see how he does.
Well, that's a fair point. But, I mean, look, the Chargers have had some decent teams. Denver, through the years, has had some decent teams. The Raiders.
So I just want to also point this out because you
25-3.
You talked about.
I mean, that's insane.
You talked about how Tom Brady and the Patrick Mahomes debate, the winning argument, like how many wins do they have? Tom Brady in the AFC East was 90-22.
Yeah.
I mean,
what was Ben Roethlisberger inside of the AFC North? Wait till you hear this number. This number's sick. Pull that bad boy up. And while you're doing that, let me just, for the record, going back to October of 2020, Patrick Mahomes has lost 1 game in the division, and that was in September of 2021. He lost to the Chargers, 44-27. You look at these numbers this cat has put up in these games. I mean, it's just ridiculous. His team scored 42, 34, 43, 35, 44, 47, 50, 44, 45. I mean, good Lord. And now we're hoping that the Raiders or the Broncos are going to knock off Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Broncos.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Hey, the Broncos played them pretty good last week.
Maybe the Broncos.
They played them pretty good last week. That was a 42-20. What was it? 42-28 game.
It was 34-28.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. 34-28.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let me pull up exactly what happened.
Okay.
But
Ben Roethlisberger was 71-24-1 against the AFC.
Say that again.
71-24-1. So right around what Brady was with the AFC.
Big
East.
Ben. Okay. So, he had a lot of interesting things to say there about Tampa Bay. Starting with, if there's one thing they've been able to hang their hat on the entire year, and we brought it up yesterday, 7 times this year the Tampa Bay defense has allowed 20 points or fewer in a game. 7 times. That's really good. But now all of a sudden, as he pointed out, their best corner, not playing. We know about Antoine Winfield Jr., the son of the great Antoine Winfield Sr. Boy, what a player that guy was. He's out. Best safety. Vita Vea. Took him a little while to get going, number 1 pick out of Washington, but he has become a legitimate force, a DJ Reader-like player. And Vea is even bigger than Reader. The guy goes 320, 330, something insane, a Tony Siragusa kind of guy. And now he's out. So even though the Bengals have all these injuries, and who's going to play and who's not going to play remains to be seen. We mentioned earlier, limited was the word in practice yesterday for Osai, Trent Taylor, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Limited in practice, but it's a Wednesday practice. At the end of the day, who cares? You guys look like you have something important on your mind over there.
Do we, Casey?
I'm just sending. I am just working on sending over something to Mr. Paul here.
Oh,
for the show.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you guys circle back on what you started when I ran out to Mother Nature's calling?
Were we circling back on anything, Casey, or were we?
Well, I was just going to talk about the Thursday night game.
All right, let's talk about the
well,
Thursday
then
night
let's get
game.
into it.
Let's go.
It's a good. You know what? Finally, and Tom, I don't want to put you on the spot here.
Please do.
All right. Well, then I will.
Long as it's not about August of 2020, we're good.
I will not.
All right.
You think Al Michaels regrets going to Thursday Night Football?
No, because of that check he's cashing.
But
not a chance. Are you kidding me?
God, these games.
Guys his age are getting run off, and they're hiring these young guys for pennies on the dollar, and Al Michaels is still better than all of them. Doesn't matter who they are. He's the best in the business, bar none, as far as football is concerned, in my opinion. And that's not taking anything away from the Joe Bucks and the Jim Nances or whoever else you like in the world out there. There are a lot of really good ones out there. Why would you think he is because of the schedule?
Yeah, he just seems
not enthused.
He just doesn't seem himself.
Well,
I love Al.
Yeah.
You know,
I think he is the best. I love Al. I've him and Chris together, and I think Herb Street's done a decent job. I mean, people were very critical of him in the beginning of the year, but he also just didn't know the NFL as well as he knew college football from covering it the last 20-plus years.
Yeah.
So it just took him a little while to get the chemistry, get to know the league as well as you need to know the league to be in that job. I think Kirk is doing a good job. But, man, Tom, I feel like every week, and I'll say this, if you've listened to the show, you know, I'm a cable guy. I don't like streaming games. And when I get into having to switch off of, like tonight, for example, if I'm watching a college basketball game, there's a couple of good games tonight. I'm watching a game. I just want to be able to click over and turn on a game. Now, tonight's a better Thursday night game with the 49ers and the Seahawks, but not being able to just flick back and forth to the NFL Network or whatever, or ESPN or whatever channel it is, having to go into the Prime app, open up the game, then get back out of the app and watch whatever else I'm doing. I know that sounds really stupid, but I just don't want to go through the effort to a lot of these games this year. They've just stunk so bad.
I tell you, they're surprised. You may have seen the story. It came out the other day. Even Prime is surprised at how well those games are doing.
Oh, I'm sure they're doing well.
And look, I talked about it earlier. You know, I get together with buddies of mine every Thursday night, and we'll hit this joint or that joint somewhere close. And it's so expensive for the bar owners. Unless you've got some place that's just making a ton of cash, and most of the time I'm going with places, my buddies, where it's peanut shells on the floor. It's kind of joints we like, and they're just not paying for it. So you walk in. I tell you the better question for me, and I'll talk to him about it at the end of the year. He's never going to come out publicly. Paul, to your point, what about Aikman and Buck? I mean, you look at their schedule this year, and look, you're at the mercy of injuries. You're at the mercy of teams that you thought were going to be good going straight south. But, man, I was sitting around the other day and looking at this. You go back 4 weeks ago. Their game on Monday Night Football, which when the season comes out, unlike Sunday Night Football, they can't flex games out on Monday night. They're stuck with what they got, okay? They had Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. Brutal game. Neither team going anywhere, right?
Yep.
The week after that, they get New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Now, you thought at the beginning of the year it might be a good game. Tampa Bay stinks. It turned out to be a thrilling game. But, I mean, compared to what they were doing at 425 on Sundays, forever and a day, they have New England at Arizona the week after that. Okay, you got a storyline there, New England trying to hang around, right? This week, you have the Rams and Green Bay.
Ugh.
Brutal game.
Brutal.
Week 16, you have the Chargers at the Indianapolis Colts.
Chargers are hanging in there.
Well, I understand, but you know what I'm getting at here, okay? And then they finally have a great matchup, Monday Night Football. Here, of course, Buffalo at Cincinnati. And they don't have another game after that. Their season is over. Regular season is over.
Yeah, they've only really had 3 or 4 good Monday night games.
All year long.
All year long.
All year long. And that's what happens when, look, you're the TV executives or you're the league with the TV executives. And, the Rams are the defending Super Bowl champs. Huge market. You think they're going to be good. Green Bay, unbelievable drawing power coast to coast. You think they're going to be good. Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, now look at it, both of them.
We're going to pull a clip up right here. I know Joe Buck has caught a lot of flack over the years for how he has broadcasted games. I love Joe Buck.
Yeah.
Joe Buck is one of my favorite broadcasters of all time.
For sure.
Now, does he say that every pass – I get a kick out of every ball that's as a home run is back at the wall, and every pass in the NFL, the pass is caught. It's the same call every time. But I still just – his cadence, his rhythm for the game, the way – he has a big game voice.
Yep.
But he never shows a ton of emotion. Did you see this clip?
No.
From the other day? Casey, pull this up. This is awesome.
The weather is beautiful in Tampa, Florida. It's week 13, good matchup in the NFC South. It's December. Can you believe it? Already December. Bucks and Saints coming up. There he is, all eyes on 12. He's ready to go. Look, he's going to prove it. Yeah, let's go. I can't say one of those words. Mike Evans, what's going on with that combo with Tom Brady? They better figure that out. Here down the stretch. There he is, the red rifle, got that beard all tucked into that chin strap, ready to go. 10th consecutive start for the Saints. And Alvin Kamara had 2 fumbles last week. Looking for a big night tonight. The weather is beautiful in Tampa.
Good stuff.
I've never heard him show that much emotion in years. And I don't know if maybe he just thought, well, it's the Bucks. What's this game going to look like? Why not? Or what? Or ESPN told him to
got to sell it.
Just to sell it. But I was just so good to hear Joe, like that on the open, and I don't know. I love Joe.
Oh, he's great.
He's
the
best.
He's fantastic. He's just a fantastic announcer. One of the and without a doubt is going to go down. I mean, it's not even going to be close. Will go down as the most decorated, the greatest career of any broadcaster in sports television history, and it will not even be close. I think that Dick Enberg probably was that guy. And I mean, Joe, he's going to end up doing whatever it is, 20 Super Bowls and 25 World Series and, whatever else. And yeah, I mean, him and Aikman make a great team. But, when they were doing those Sunday games on Fox, the doubleheader, so what they were doing is when Fox had the rights up until this year of the Thursday night game, Troy and Joe would do that game on Thursday night. If Fox had the doubleheader weekend where they had a 425 game, normally the big game in the NFL, 425, they would work on Sunday. If Fox was not the doubleheader weekend, that belonged to CBS, then Joe and Troy would not work on Sunday. They wouldn't do a 1 o'clock game. That was a lot of work. I used to talk to Chris Collinsworth about that and what that was like, doing a game on Thursday night and then turning around and doing a game on Sunday. You're gone all the time, and it's a lot of work if you're going to do it right. You have something to say here, Case?
Yeah, so I just wanted to look at the rest of the season for Thursday night, Monday night, and Sunday night football. And I know there's like Christmas sprinkled in there and other things like that. But to me, I only see tonight's game for Thursday Night Football and maybe the last week, Dallas at Tennessee, but Tennessee's been blah.
Yeah.
Then Monday Night Football, the final Monday Night Football, Bills versus Bengals. That's going to be a good one. And there's no more Sunday Night Football games I really want to watch. It's Patriots versus Raiders.
Well, that can be flexed
yeah,
out.
it can be flexed.
None of those games will make the cutting board.
I'm just saying, like, as it stands right now, there's only like 2 or 3 more primetime games that I'm like, okay, I'll watch. And the Bills and Bengals, I plan on making enough money January 1st to go to that game. So I'm not gonna be able to watch that game live on TV. But
well, look, here's the deal. Those games you just mentioned, there is zero chance that they will end up because the NFL, nobody does it better when it comes to putting or trying to put your best product in prime time. They have agreements with all the television networks in their multiple contracts that, 6 days out, this happens on a Sunday. That game that we had on Sunday night, that's being shot off to CBS for a 1 o'clock game that'll go to 4% of the country, and we're putting on fill in the blank. I was trying to explain to my son yesterday, because he was talking about that last game of the year, that last Sunday. What is that, the 9th?
The 8th.
The 8th, okay. I was explaining to him that he said, well, if it means a divisional championship, NBC will want the Bengals and the Ravens on Sunday night. In theory, that would probably be the best game. But what NBC shoots for, and they've proven this year after year after year, okay, if there is a win and you're in, lose and you're out game in the NFL. And by the time we get down to the last week of the season, there might be 3 or 4 of those. Not necessarily for both teams. That's what you hope for, and they've had a few of those in the past, where the winner is in and the loser is out to win a division championship. They had teams under 500 out in the NFC West one year, and they carried, I think it was the Rams and the Seahawks or somebody like that. 2 brutal teams. But it was one is in, the other's out, depending on who wins and loses. So that's what NBC will be looking for. So, for example, you could have the Carolina Panthers and whoever they play the last game of the year. Let's just assume it's not Tampa Bay or Atlanta, where it's, one's in, one's out. But that's the kind of game they want on the air for Sunday Night Football, where all the drama of one team having to win a game to get into the playoffs. They would rather have that than they would. Most people across the country would rather watch, say, the Bengals and the Ravens to determine who's going to be the AFC North champ, with implications on who could be the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed in the AFC playoffs. They don't always take the best game, is a point I am in a very long-winded way saying. They don't take the best game. They're picking the game that has the most on the line.
Yeah, and I need to correct myself here as well. They flexed out the New England-Las Vegas game from the Sunday night game to 4:05, and they replaced it with New York versus Washington.
Well, there you go.
So that to me is a little bit more entertaining. I still think both teams are not great, but they're both have winning records, are going to try to fight for that playoff spot. So to your point, that is more of a must watch because that has playoff implications.
Sure.
So for both teams, not just one. So yeah, that's a better game. I don't know if they flexed anything else because I really don't know if we want to watch Tampa versus Arizona next week on Sunday night.
Well, they've already played Tampa and Arizona. They're not playing again, right? Or are they next Sunday night right now? Is that still the game? I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. That was Arizona playing who they play. I just said it a minute ago. They were on the other night.
Oh, yeah, Patriots.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just looking ahead just so we can play this game a little bit. The games that are not on Sunday, actually there's a ton of so the not this week, but the following week. So this is Christmas week. Ton of Christmas Eve games. So they're probably not going to change those, right? They wouldn't flex the Christmas schedule.
No. That one they won't touch. There's too many
Okay.
things involved there with Christmas and the holiday and families and schedules. No, that's not changing.
Yeah, so we're done. We're done set with Tampa Bay and Arizona, Denver, Los Angeles, and Green Bay at Miami for Christmas Day. Christmas Eve is what it is. It's got the full slate of normal games. Saturday night, Christmas Eve night, is Vegas versus Pittsburgh. That's terrible.
Yeah, but again,
come
they're not,
on.
but
Like,
again, they're not
The
changing.
steel curtain.
They're not changing it.
And the Raiders.
they're
The
not gonna
following
change it.
week is the interesting week because they're going to keep the Saturday game or the Thursday game, Dallas and Tennessee, as you mentioned. Okay, so right now, and they have to do this 6 days before. So, in other words, on the last Sunday of December, once all of those games are played, the TV execs get on the horn with the league, and NBC says, okay, we want to flex this game out. So right now, there's zero chance that the Rams and the Chargers are going to be the Sunday night game on January the 1st. Some could argue the Chargers are in the hunt. That's fine. But when you start looking at some of the other games around the league, Carolina and Tampa Bay could be a far more important game. Miami at New England could be a very important game.
I was looking at New York at Seattle. I don't know if New York Jets will win another game, but
again,
those two
right. So that kind of game. So now you skip forward again to the last weekend of the season, okay? And what they do is all the games are listed as TBD, to be determined. So the Sunday night, they don't have a Sunday night game. So the illustration I brought up about the Bengals and Ravens, could that be the Sunday night game? Could be. But when you start looking around and the way things are playing out, you've got Tampa, Atlanta. That could be in or out.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
You have New England, Buffalo. It could be New England in or New England out.
Right.
And you get a look at Buffalo.
Buffalo's got seeding issues too.
That's exactly right. You have if I were a betting man, and I'm running, no, not a betting man, if I were NBC, the game that I would want the most that last Sunday night would be the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. That would be the game that I want. I want that to be a game where Detroit, who's starting to gain steam as the underdog, Cinderella story. A lot of people are really excited about what they got going on there. It's a huge city with a huge football viewership marketing. And then you have the potential intrigue of that game being at Lambeau and Aaron Rodgers' last game at Lambeau as a Green Bay Packer.
Speak it into existence, Tom. You know how I love
Now, is that
Lions
not
talk.
sex appeal for you right there?
Yeah.
I love the Lions. I love them.
That's sex
would be-
appeal if you're NBC, right? I mean, these other games are fine. I mean, everybody knows the Bengals and the Ravens are going to be in the playoffs. There's a lot of people that are just worn out by New England. They're really a tired team to watch. They might get in the playoffs, but Giants and Eagles. I mean, the Eagles are going to bench everybody for that game. You can make the argument New York gets in or, with a win, it's New York. I get it. But the intrigue of and I have no inside information that this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' last season as a Green Bay Packer, but boy, doesn't it feel like that?
It does.
Yeah. It's like Matt said with Tampa Bay, you kind of see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, there's just so much turmoil that's going on for him this season. Not good for the older guys this year. Definitely
Tom,
not.
I don't necessarily mean to change the subject, but I am because I want to get back to something you were talking about before. We were talking about Al Michaels and Joe Buck and broadcasting these games, and I wanted to ask you, when you got into baseball season and there was the overlap between the NFL and Major League Baseball for you, was it hard balancing that? Like,
No.
between the games, because you've talked a lot on this show about preparing for the NFL, how hard it is to prepare for an NFL game.
Yeah.
And how much work goes into preparing for an NFL game and everything like that. You've laid that out before. But I'm just curious, when you have baseball, you have NFL, you have to travel back and forth to both teams. I mean, what does that look like?
Well, I mean, you just got to be more disciplined in you know, like a lot of people in their jobs and their days and their families and careers, whatever it might be. You just have to be more disciplined in your time allotment. So, you know, if the Reds, for example, back in those days, say they're playing a 3-game series in Milwaukee on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're off on Thursday. Okay, I'm not going to be there Friday because I'm traveling to my NFL game. Well, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, when you wake up at the Pfister Hotel in downtown Milwaukee, okay, you know, you get up, try to work out like around 7, get that done, and then basically you're holed up in your room from 11 in the morning till, say, like 1:30, 2 o'clock, starting to build out your board. You do that 3 days in a row. My goal was always to try and get the board done by Thursday. So then I didn't have to look at it. I didn't have to look at it until Saturday because you're worn out getting ready to do it. But no, it was I mean, are you kidding me? It was the greatest setup in the world, and you wouldn't trade anything in the world for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me hear Dan Horde talk about this all the time, and we ask him about how busy he is and running around in airports and, you know, but you wouldn't trade it for the world, not for a second. The only thing you don't want to do is fly out of Newark. They shut down TSA on Sundays at Newark at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If you want to see Chris Spielman go through the roof, all you have to say is Newark TSA. Thanksgiving weekend, they closed TSA at Newark at 5 p. on a Sunday. Can you imagine that? You ever been to Newark on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday night? It's O'Hare. Not quite, but it's close. They're not shutting it down at O'Hare at 5 o'clock. But I mean, I used to get Giants games all the time. And, of course, Newark is the closest airport to the Meadowlands where the game is. But just because of that reason, you would schedule flights out of LaGuardia or JFK just to stay away from Newark. Sir Boy Wonder says, Tom, why are you so heated about Newark TSA? Because it took hours off my life, Sir Boy Wonder. It really, really did. All right, what else we got to talk about today?
We can teach you something if you want.
All right, let's take a break.
All right.
Which, by the way, okay, I'm taking these to my 17-year-old son on a daily basis now, okay?
Yeah.
I was driving here this morning, and he talked about something that was like really cool, right? And I said, boy, that thing slaps. He said, what did you just say? I said, that thing slaps. He says, Dad, I don't know where you got that. He says, but you're not using it correctly. And I said, really? And he was trying to explain. He said, did you say slapped as an ED on the? I said, no, because we put it up on the board yesterday in teaching Thom that it's just slap, right?
Slaps.
On the board, I thought we just put up slap. Well, it was an S?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. So maybe that's what he meant.
That could be.
Do you always have to say with the S on the end?
Yeah. It can't be just the P. There's got to be an S at the end.
And then he said to me, we've talked about some of the other words, and one being drip, right? Drip.
Yeah.
All of you know what that means.
You're all dripped.
And now I do. But, we got into the whole thing about Joe Burrow and his outfits that he wears to the stadium. Right? Yeah. He always has something going on, right? He's always looking good. Now, your definition of drip, correct me if I'm wrong here, drip is in the eyes of the beholder, is it not?
Yeah.
It's like I thought that maroon suit he wore a week ago was tired. I'm not a big maroon suit guy. All right? Now, that might make me an old man. That's fine. But there's no tie to the Bengals in maroon. There's no tie to Joe Burrow in maroon. I mean, Scarlet, when he was at Ohio State, that's not maroon. LSU has no maroon. The Bengals have no maroon. So, and maybe that's not his idea. But is that correct in that drip is in the eyes of the beholder?
Sure. Yeah. You could think I have drip or not.
Or not, yeah. But, Tom, before you go, it just is too fitting that you bring up drip and outfits.
Yes.
We got to do the teaching time
We got to do
now.
it before the break.
Before the break?
We got to do it
we got to do it right now.
There's one of those that goes around on the internet.
Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty.
Joe what? Is that the word? Is that the hip word? I don't even know what to say. What? When a viewer tells me that I'm trying to be hip and I'm not as hip as I think I am, that hurts. All right, fellas, what do we have today?
What do you think this means, Tom? Fit.
Exercise a lot, stay in good shape. That's what it means to me, but I'm sure that's not where we're going.
No, that's not quite where we were going with it. So,
it's good.
It's just short for outfit. You clothes you put together to create a total look, as in Tom's fit is fire today.
Not necessarily. This is an old and tired shirt, much like myself. But you know it wears well. It's been around for a long time and continues to hold up. That's why buy quality if you can. Buy quality. It'll last forever. You won't have to replace it 2 or 3 times. Spend a little extra money the first time. It'll last forever. So short for outfit. Okay. So the Bearcats fits last night. They had the old school Cats jerseys on, right? First time they've won in those, by the way. They were 0-2 in those last year. Is that apropos? Is that the way you say it?
Yeah.
Can you say fits to, plural?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay.
And
Do you guys use that word regularly? Tell the truth. Use that a lot? I mean, you say to your buddy, or you say, hey, her fit is unbelievable. I mean, that kind of thing?
No,
I mean, you can.
Why are you laughing at that question? A woman can have a great outfit on.
No, it's just the way you said it was just funny. It's just like your son. Like, I'm picturing you having a conversation with your son about this, and now I am envisioning how this all went down, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. Because this is the same thing I do with my parents.
Yeah, it's more of like a friend-to-friend interaction where you're saying, like, your fit is – I'm not even going to go there. I'm just it's more of like – I don't know how.
So I mean, my generation, we don't. Well, that's not entirely true. Maybe you're going somewhere and you're dressing up and going out with your wife somewhere, and guy shows up in a nice sport coat. And you're like, wow, man, that's a good looking coat. So, in other words, it's a guy to guy thing. If I'm hearing you right, correct?
It could be a girl to girl thing too.
Okay, but rarely does it cross over. The example I gave a moment ago: if I'm sitting next to you at a bar. Right? And some lady's got a great-looking outfit on. Forget how she looks or built. I'm not talking about that. But I'm saying she's just really well put together. I don't say to you as one man to another, friend to friend, I don't say, man, her fit is lights out.
No, probably not. No, I wouldn't use it like that. What?
I am 1,000% on Saturday when I see my friends saying, yo, man, that fits lights out.
That fits.
I'm using
You're
that.
not answering my question about...
you could.
But that's not... If we're teaching Tom...
Yeah.
I want to be able to say that basically about a buddy of mine. He's got a new shirt on. Hey, man, that fit you got going.
Yeah, see there, boom.
Okay.
That's
great.
perfect.
Okay.
And if you really, Tom, now I know be taking the training wheels off here, so I don't want to get too far over our skis. But you could go drip and fit in the same sentence. We don't need look.
You could use slaps too.
All right, now what does this mean? Andrew says, what does this mean? What does this mean? I want to get back to what you were getting ready to say, but I don't want to lose him on the screen.
Okay.
What does this mean if it says Tom is so based?
We'll get
there.
We'll get there.
Okay.
That's another.
Is that a slam or is that a?
No, it's good. Ish.
Ish.
We think the way he's using it, I would say it's probably good.
Okay. Okay.
I'm so glad we did this.
We have a lot in the chat that people keep talking about baseball today.
See, baseball's not dead. Thom, I have wait, there was somebody in here. Oh, AJ. AJ wants to know what's Paul gambling on this weekend. I'm retired.
Oh, you're not retired.
Well, you have your show today, though, right?
I do. Yeah, we're picking every bowl game today.
Every game?
All 40-some bowl games Reed and I are going to pick today.
Boy, how about Doc facetiously talking about, are you going to watch the Fenway Bowl?
The Wasabi Bowl.
Wasabi Fenway Bowl. I'm going to watch. I mean, you know what? I shouldn't say I'll watch it. I don't know if I will or not.
Seth wants to know, is Mike going to be on the show? Mike will be on the show, 12:05. He already sent me his pick list. It's long.
All right, there you go.
It's mighty.
I'm going to have to check that out because we're making our picks tomorrow. We're going to do this on a weekend or daily basis. All the bowl games crank up, and there are basically bowl games every single day starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Miami of Ohio plays.
Yeah, they played 11:30. So we switched around our not too picky schedule a little bit. So today is our last real gambling show for the year. The next 4 shows leading into New Year's, we're going to do Sports Gambling 101 segments for people that don't really know how it all works. You hear us talk a lot about it on the show. Basically, if you don't know what we're talking about, if you've been sitting up here listening to it. So this is our last real chance to go on and pick every bowl game. So we're going to do all of that today, but here on Off the Bench, we will be picking every bowl game as it happens. So we're not going to sit here and pick 48 bowl games or however many there are. We're not going to do – I think there's 43. We're not going to do that all today.
Yeah.
But we will we'll do it every – this tomorrow's show we'll pick every game through the weekend.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Monday we'll pick the one on Monday.
Right, that's right.
Go from there.
Yeah, because basically every single day, almost every single day, starting tomorrow from now through January 1st, 2nd, you will have a college football bowl game on. All right, we're going to take a break. I might have to change my fit during the commercial break. We're back in a moment.
Wait, kind of.
Yeah, so we're you can go on ahead.
You can go.
All right, so am I tossing it to you? Am I saying something?
We're switching around our breaks now. Later in the show, we're going to use press conferences from this week, so people aren't listening to commercials every time. So
all right.
We had Joe Burrow and Wes Miller to listen to
all right
now.
Yep, so.
I mean, that's my entire life. I don't remember. I mean, he was drafted when I was 4, so all my memories of NFL football have him in it. He gets the ball out really fast. He understands what he's looking at. I think he epitomizes toughness at the quarterback position. He's a great leader. I mean, he's the greatest of all time for a reason. He's the total package. It's our 14th game of the season. Obviously, the greatest quarterback ever is on the other side, but we got a job to do too, and our job is to go and win, get to 10-4, and move on. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't really pay attention to it. He's Thom, and I'm Joe.
Really good defense. They got a lot of talent at every single level. Got a lot of respect for their coaching staff. Casey Rogers worked with him at Miami. Todd Bowles was there before I got there, and just everybody raved about how good he was. Faced them a lot over my NFL career. And so they always put their guys in great position. They play really hard. But really, if you just look at every level of this defense, the frontline guys put a lot of pressure on your run game and on your quarterback in the pass protections. Their 2 backers on the second level are as good a tandem as there is. I think they've played every single snap this year. Those other guys, they've taken every snap. And then in the secondary, I know the safeties have been banged up, but it's a really solid group from top to bottom. The corners have been really impressive. Carlton Davis has just done a great job over his time there. And I know they're kind of going through some nickels, but they've got a lot of talent there. And we'll see who plays and who doesn't. But, man, top to bottom, it's a really impressive defense. You can see why they've had success over the years that they've had. They really put a lot of pressure on the offense to make it very difficult.
We can be a pretty good team, and there were some really good moments running, sharing the ball tonight. I want more defensively. I thought there were some good stretches. The collective effort and will, for the most part, was okay. I want more. These guys showed what they're capable of from a focus and effort passion standpoint in the second half against Xavier, and it's my job to hold them to that standard every second. And so I want a little more there, but there were some really good possessions and some good things defensively. I don't like that we got out-rebounded. I thought there were times the shot went up and we're kind of looking at the ball in the air as opposed to boxing out the right way, and a lot of it was on the defensive board. Hats off to Miami of Ohio and Travis's group, because they do run some good stuff and they make you guard long into possessions with the Princeton offense, and they're a really good shooting team, so long shots, long rebounds. But I still think, we can be a really good rebounding team. We've done that at times. That was kind of one of the things that stuck out to me a little bit that I didn't like, but it's good to get a win after the way we felt in here a couple days ago, and we've got to get back on the practice floor tomorrow and keep trying to get better. Well, first off, I'm thrilled about it. I'd prefer not to sit here and talk about me, but I'm thrilled about it. And, this is where I want to be. This is home. This is now my home. I love it here. So I'm thrilled and truly appreciative of President Pinto and John Cunningham, deeply appreciative, and the people here that are supporting our program. This is home now, and that's just a step in the right direction for me and our staff. So I'm thrilled about it. From a timing standpoint, there's no bad timing for something like that to happen. And I'm deeply thankful for these kids, the way they're letting us coach them and believing in us, and the administration believing in us. Deeply thankful. And it just solidifies more that this is home. I don't want to be anywhere else. So I'm thankful for people making that happen.
I really like listening to him talk. His style is a little bit different. He doesn't come across as passionate a lot of times. Say nearly as passionate as you hear Sean, who's a Pittsburgh gruff and tough kind of guy and great player and all that kind of stuff, as was Wes for that matter, really good player. But I there's something I really like about Wes Miller. I hope everything works out for him. You were down there last night.
Yep.
I heard some people talking about, did you figure something out? I heard his post-game show, Wes Miller's post-game show with Dan Horde and Terry Nelson on the radio after that loss to Xavier in the shootout on Saturday. And he talked about playing a combination that he had not played all year long. I don't know if it was a couple big guys together. Help me with that. And they were thinking or wondering on the radio before the game last night, is there a chance the Bearcats and Wes Miller figured something out about their team?
Yeah, well, the last three halves of basketball they've played between the second half of the shootout and then the two halves last night were incredible. They scored 50 points in the first half, 53 points in the second half last night. Now, the little caveat on that is that Miami is the 8th worst defensive team in the entire country. They're 355th. I knew that Miami was bad defensively, but seeing it in person last night, it was very clear. I mean, they were getting beat on straight line drives to the hoop. They couldn't guard anybody in a pick and. I mean, it was bad last night. But a credit to UC. A couple of the guys were sitting up there in the post-game press conference, and they were asked about, well, what were you trying to do? Was there something that opened things up offensively? And it was the classic. Well, we were trying to play our game, and we felt like we played it pretty well. And I thought that's a credit to them that, hey, look, we have a chance to go out here against a team that really isn't doing anything defensively, but we're just going to run our thing and treat it as best we can. And David Julius is having a great season. But, yeah, UC looks, especially last night, they didn't feel like they were forcing anything. They were playing with good flow. They looked a whole lot better than they did in that first half against Xavier, where they looked really, really bad offensively. The second half of that shootout game and then the two halves last night looked really good. Now you have a couple more games here before AAC play starts in 2 weeks.
Right. They get LaSalle on Saturday at home, we mentioned earlier. What was, Paul, you talk to guys regularly, I know on your show,
yep.
Talking about the whole the news that came down about Sean Miller being completely exonerated from any wrongdoing. No suspension, no nothing about everything that went down at Arizona. He had assistant coaches that, one guy I think went to jail. But there had to be an incredible sense of relief. I had a conversation with a very prominent member of the media covering college basketball yesterday who said that he would have bet a lot of money that the Xavier president and athletic director, when they hired Sean and did their due diligence and looking into everything that went on and all the reports and information that they had, that he would have bet a lot of money that those guys would have been in shock if you'd have told them in the spring that Sean was not going to have any kind of suspension this year. So that's got to be a tremendous relief.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of and look, I didn't talk to anybody from Xavier yesterday. I know it was probably a really busy day down there, so I didn't want to reach out or put anybody in a bad spot or anything. I'm just purely speaking from kind of how I've looked at the situation from the outside and what I'm kind of picking up from it. And, there's a sense that, Sean did get off with this and he didn't get suspended. Now, I should say the one little punishment that he get, which is funny that we talked about this yesterday, is that he did have to vacate 50 wins. So he will, in retrospect, have to win his 400th game a second time.
Wow.
He was at 430 wins because of the situation with Raleigh Alkins, which was what really brought all this to light, because I tweeted a thread about this yesterday, and if you care enough, if you want to spend the time, probably takes you about 20 minutes to read it, but it lays out every detail of everything about this case from the very beginning, from when ESPN originally reported this story and from when that whole story got debunked with everything about DeAndre Ayton. But what ended up coming back to hurt Sean was the ineligibility, the retroactive ineligibility of Raleigh Alkins, who was a very prominent player for Sean at Arizona, and some of his eligibility issues. It was ultimately deemed that he was ineligible to play college basketball, so his stats will be wiped away, and also the games that he played in will get wiped off of Arizona's all-time record and Sean's coaching record. So that's not a suspension. That's not really a notable punishment, you could say. It's something that's going to affect Sean going forward as far as coaching games. But if you want to look at something, it's not like he didn't get anything, but that was the only thing. But I did think that when you look at the way that this committee handled the two cases that they had already adjudicated in Memphis and in Louisville, and neither one of them were given any kind of major punishment outside of slaps on the wrist from this committee, I'm not entirely surprised. I thought Sean would probably get 2 games.
Yeah.
But I was not surprised. Somebody asked me yesterday, what do you think he's going to get when it came out? I said, I think he'll probably get 2 games, but I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't get any, just based on how this committee had ruled so far. Now, the difference is, because a lot of people were trying to compare this to Kansas, the difference is that Kansas has 5 level 1 infractions leveled against them. This is not exactly apples to apples in the Kansas and Xavier cases, but what I will say is that if you are at Kansas right now, you're probably at least breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief, having seen now all 3 cases get handed down, and LSU will also come down. Now, Kansas and LSU might be after this season is over. We might not hear about them till after the season. It'll be next year. They've already said that.
But I think the issue, you correct me if I'm wrong here, is, and you continue what you're going to say here in a sec. I'm just curious, though. I don't think it's so much because after having this conversation yesterday with somebody very much in the know and going back and reading through some of this stuff, it seems like the NCAA at the end of the day does not want to 5 years later now penalize the group of kids who were playing on the Kansas basketball team, in this case, the Xavier basketball team, LSU, Louisville, whatever it might be, because those kids were in high school when all this stuff went down.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's more of a question of whenever they get around to determining what kind of punishment is going to be out there, correct me if I'm wrong, it's primarily centered on the coach, head coach. Is that right?
You mean?
What I'm saying is yesterday's ruling was a ruling specifically on Sean Miller.
Yes.
Period.
Well,
the next one down the road, like you're talking about, far more severe accusations and findings, right?
Yeah.
The next one down the road, they're not going to penalize Kansas basketball. Well, I mean, although Self's still there. And they might take wins away like they did with Sean, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
But the big question is going to be whether Self, and he took 3 games, Kansas took 3 games early in the year, but will there be more handed down to Bill Self?
Yeah, I'll be very, very interested to see that. And the other thing that was interesting from the committee that they talked about in this ruling yesterday is that they did say that they took into account Arizona's their self-imposed postseason ban. They said they weighed that heavily.
1 year.
Because Arizona self-imposed a postseason ban a couple of years ago. This committee said that they took that into account. They said, hey, look, you've already served this punishment, that you banned yourself from the NCAA tournament that year. And I think that's huge because if you're reading into that to say that if they hadn't done that Arizona would have been banned from the NCAA tournament this year. Look at this Arizona team. Compared to that team that year, that team was good, but this team is really good. And so if you're an Arizona fan looking at this ruling and you're saying, well, maybe it worked out that we imposed that ban a couple of years ago because now you look at what this team is this year and a team that could compete for the national championship with the best front court in the entire country. I mean, to me, that again, I just think the entire ruling from the NCAA, or well, again, from the IARP, which is supposedly completely independent from the NCAA, I think what they did was they ruled on it logically. For the first time in a long time, they took into account Arizona's own punishment, and they didn't punish the kids that weren't involved.
That's right.
And that has been a huge issue for years, that these kids that were in 8th grade or freshmen or sophomores that weren't even maybe being recruited by that school yet got punished for this. And, you know, it is a shame. It is a real shame that Book Richardson, who was the assistant coach that, if you followed this case for a long time, was really the big name of this story. He was the assistant on Sean's staff that really all of this got thrown at. Book served his time in jail. He did 3 months in jail for this, for things that are now legal. But he got a 10-year show cause penalty, which basically means that, when you boil it down, it means he can't coach for 10 years, basically. No program will hire an assistant coach with a show cause penalty, and he got it for 10 years, which basically means his coaching career is done.
Yeah.
And that is a real shame because he's already been out of coaching. He's already been in jail. And they said, their ruling said that his 10-year show cause wasn't necessarily because of what he did. That was part of it. But that he never cooperated with the committee. He never cooperated with the investigation. And so they gave him the penalty. There was another assistant coach that got a 2-year show cause as well. I know this is way, way more than probably a lot of people care about with this as far as all this case goes. But there is, a significant portion of the city that cares about this, whether you're a Xavier fan or whether you're
of course.
a
And I
UC
mean,
fan
look, if
this.
you're Sean Miller and this has been hanging over your head, and it has, and it still hangs over Bill Self's head. You talked about, the assistant coaches. I mean, that whole thing with a 10-year ban for not cooperating. I mean, that's the stuff that sends people off the reservation with the NCAA.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, it just goes to show, they're their own independent agency and they can do whatever they want to do, however they want to do it. But that's like penalizing some defendant for not testifying.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're either guilty or you're not guilty.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna be able to get away with punishing the guy because he didn't testify. They are the worst. And
well, speaking of actually the NCAA, they just named.
I was getting ready to say they got a new president today.
Yep.
Yeah, they named. Boy, that's all they need. Fits right in.
Former governor. Of
A governor. That's all you need. You get the academic people and you get a government person. Boy, now there's a recipe for really getting stuff done.
My guess is that
Good Lord.
My guess is that they wanted somebody to be able to navigate the NIL space, because that's become so political now, and in the different states and federally with Congress, and how everybody's trying to handle this new wild west of the NFL, or the NIL rather. It sounded like everybody that they targeted for this job, the NCAA president job, that they were looking for a politician to be able to handle.
Well, they've got actually this guy, in fairness to him, and his name is Charlie Baker. He's been the governor since January 2015, but his second term in January comes to an end. And so he starts a new post on March the 1st. Spent most of his career, as I mentioned, Massachusetts state government, but has spent a decade in healthcare administration, and he holds degrees from both Harvard and Northwestern. So he's worked in both, in fairness, the public sector and the private sector. And the public sector most recently, and you definitely, this whole NIL thing, I don't know where that's going. I'm not sure anybody knows where all that's going. I mean, everybody's all in on the players getting paid. I think everybody universally agrees with that. But, or most people, not everybody, but most people. But I don't know if you read the story the other day about story came out of Columbus, where there was some big-time high school football recruit where the University of Georgia was offering this guy basically through NIL, legal, $1.8 million as a signing bonus and $750,000 a year over his time at Georgia. And that the best Ohio State could do was offer $500,000 a year, and that's it. And this writer, of course, who it turns out is a Michigan alum. So it's like, a grain of salt with everything. Okay? Because at the conclusion of the article, the guy says, after saying, Ohio State's not going to get any more great players. They're not going to be able to recruit anymore. He writes in the last sentence, by the way, I'm a Michigan man, and I hope all this is true. And, by the way, on that same day that he wrote the story, on the same day he wrote it, yesterday Ohio State signed the number one receiver in the country for 2024, who's ranked as the second best player in all of high school football. And who did the number one player sign with? Ohio State. Dominic Raiola, quarterback out of Phoenix, Arizona. So they have the top two players in the 2024 class already committed. But they're not going to get good players anymore. Okay. From a Michigan man. Boy, I hope they get their tails kicked by TCU. God, I hope so bad.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Who stinks?
I don't know. In your opinion, whoever wrote that article.
I just think it's just such a. It's not like this guy. It wasn't a commentary. He's reporting on a story, and the story broke about this Georgia, Ohio State competing for the player. The story broke out of Columbus, where a guy who covers the Buckeyes regularly. So that part of it was factual. But now this guy turns that into, it looks like moving forward, Ohio State's not going to be able to recruit any more players anymore because they don't have any money. Not the kind of money that Georgia has. And by the way, I'm a Michigan man. Come on.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Boy, you guys are coming up with all new material.
So, Tom, before we end the day, I do want to at least do this day in history, just so that we can not break any.
Here we go.
Any trend record.
Exactly. Here we go. Let's go.
1935.
Yep.
The Lions win their first NFL title, not a Super Bowl, but their first NFL title and one of their only NFL titles. 1973, Tennessee beat Temple 11-6 in the lowest scoring college basketball game recorded. 1980, Dave Winfield became the highest paid player, a 10-year, $15 million deal. And then in 2002, Carson Palmer wins the Heisman.
We were debating on what would make the list, and Casey says, what do you think about Dave Winfield, 10 years, $15 million? I said, that's got to be on the list.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Hard to believe.
Hard to believe. Hard to believe. And Brandon Nimmo just got 8 years, 160-something million. Dave Winfield. Now, you talk about an athlete. He was one of, two guys ever to be drafted in all three sports? Baseball, football, and basketball?
Awesome guy.
Oh, man.
Winfield?
Smart guy. I think he was drafted, if I'm not, I could be wrong on this, but I think I'm right on that. Dave Winfield.
Now, Tom, would you consider this guy
a real man? Well,
Or would you consider him a
leader of men? I don't know about leader of men.
Just
but
a
he
real
is
man.
a real man. There's no doubt about it. 12-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glove Award winner. Went on a baseball scholarship. A lot of people don't know the University of Minnesota. He played both baseball and basketball at Minnesota. Was part of a Minnesota team that won a Big Ten basketball championship. Trying to see where this thing is in football. I thought that he had been drafted, just somebody taking a flyer late. Maybe it was just baseball and basketball. I thought somebody took a flyer on him in football.
But still, he's a multi-sport.
A baseball Hall of
professional
Famer.
athlete.
End of story. And he's a born and raised Minnesota kid. St. Paul, Minnesota.
Tom, before we get out of this show today, got some water there in front of you?
I do. Pawnee water. They're right across the street here in Hamilton, Ohio. I've talked about them before. They're brand new to the marketplace. 2 guys left Procter & Gamble. Big research guys, doctors. Not only smart guys, but just great guys. I see them every day out here in the parking lot, talk to them every single day. But, you know, the way their natural filtration system is different than any other bottled water, and it really is the best tasting water I've ever had. They call it the best tasting water in the world. I'm not going to argue with them. It's that good. But they need to start getting in more stores around town. Okay? They're trying to build their business, and they've got a great product. It's called Pawnee, P-A-H-H-N-I. So go to Pawnee Water, P-A-H-H-N-I water.com to find out exactly where you can find it. They're in some places, trying to get them in a lot more places because their product is certainly worth it. About 4 minutes to go here, fellas. Do we have a cherry on top today or no?
Ooh, do we? We might not today.
Okay.
We might not today.
All right, I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
In 2004, ESPN named Dave Winfield, okay, as the 3rd best all-around athlete of all time.
We do have a cherry on top, by the way.
Oh, we
yes,
do? Okay.
Go ahead and ask
Okay,
the
but I need somebody to find out who were the first 2. Now, we know that Bo Jackson is clearly one of the first 2.
Dave Winfield was the 3rd best athlete of all time?
Of all-around athlete.
Bo Jackson's the best. So we got to find one more.
You know, Bo Jackson, Dion?
Dion, yeah.
Bo and Dion. There you
3?
go. There's your top 2.
Okay.
Right?
I'm guessing. I don't know if they're throwing like Jim Thorpe in there, guys like that.
Oh,
I mean, what about Jim Brown? He was the best college lacrosse player. They say the best lacrosse player on the planet. Coming out of Syracuse. Not a bad football player either. All right, what is this?
See, we just had to make the people. Everybody, we got a cherry on top.
All right, we got a cherry on top presented by our good friends from United Dairy Farmers.
Play the hits. So, Tom, this is Purdue head coach Matt Painter on his coach's show yesterday, or maybe the day before. It was published yesterday. Matt Painter on the Matt Painter show this was actually December 12th. He's taking a call from a fan who has a suggestion.
Okay.
Play it.
All around, it's very hard to suggest or criticize a number 1 unbeaten team, but on behalf of the Class M tailgaters, we have a couple of observations that have been concerning us, and it came to light on this Nebraska game where they were double teaming Edey under the basket, and it seemed to create a lot of problems for us. And we've been thinking that maybe the play selection should be balanced from shooting 3-pointers to trying to go inside to Edey. And we think there needs to be a balance, which would be dribble penetration to the rim or short of the rim. And all we have to do, Coach, is get the ball in play above the rim, and Edey or Mr. Basketball on the double low post, they're going to be able to control the play.
Oh, my God.
And either stuff it or get fouled. And we're just asking for maybe a more balanced in the 3-pointers. I know we've had these talks over the years gone by, and I know you love the three-pointer, but we're just suggesting more of a balance and more dribbling and less three-pointers, especially when you're shooting 11%.
Is this ever going to end?
I know you don't like me to talk like that, but I just think we have to bring it up again. And again, Coach, thank you for another spectacular start.
Could you imagine being a head coach and sitting up there and listening to a minute and 24 seconds of that? I mean, I know the guy means well.
And you know what? Obviously, he means well, and he's obviously very well versed in the sport of basketball. I mean, talking about dribble penetration, about, the inside-outside game. The guy knows the sport. I mean, good Lord.
Apparently, he's had that conversation with him multiple times.
Well, I just read a daily devotional today written by Dr. Bill Bright, and it had to do with patience and learning patience. And so clearly right there, Matt Painter has learned unbelievable patience. Can you imagine sitting through that?
There is a full YouTube video if you want to go back and find it of Matt's response to it. That's worth it too.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right, tomorrow, hoping to have Dan Hoare join the program. The UC Bearcats, he will be broadcasting, I'm quite sure, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl on Saturday, before then flying from Boston to Tampa for the 4:25 Bengals game on Sunday. What else are we thinking about tomorrow, boys? We have our picks. We're going to start our bowl picks and right into the NFL. Anything you guys are interested in tomorrow?
It's a pretty good weekend this weekend. And Kentucky plays UCLA at Madison Square Garden this weekend.
The Buckeyes play this weekend up there against Carolina, I think.
This is a fun week, like a low-key kind of snuck up on you fun weekend of sports. Yeah, Miami plays UAB tomorrow in the Bahamas Bowl. Big East play starts tomorrow night. Then Saturday, every team in the area pretty much plays except for Northern Kentucky. Cincinnati plays Louisville in the Fenway Bowl. There's some NFL games on Saturday. Indiana plays Kansas on Saturday. And basketball, Houston plays Virginia.
Some good games.
There's some good big-time games. North Carolina plays at Ohio State at 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Some big-time games.
Yeah. Tennessee plays at Arizona. That's at 10:30.
Man, there are a lot of good games this weekend.
Little nightcap. That's just on Saturday. Then you got a whole host of the NFL on Sunday. It's a fun weekend.
And, of course, we'll have tomorrow. Is teaching Thom every day? It's got to be hard to come up with material.
Maybe not every day, but now we're going to have one for tomorrow.
Oh, we are?
Well,
I think we came up with something.
We came up.
Yeah, we came up with something there. Okay. It was actually brought up in the chat.
The World Cup final on Sunday, too. 10 a.m.
Oh, baby.
I'll be watching.
The Argentinians and the French are going to start that, and the United States is going to have to show up at halftime to bail one of them out. That's what we do for the French. We always bail them out. Always bail them out.
White flag, white flag.
What the hell are you laughing at, Paul?
It's just
that is a fact.
That was good.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact. I mean, at least the English put up a fight. I mean, the French rolled over. All right, boys.
Not too picky up right now.
Not too picky. Coming up. You don't want to miss it. Lots of stuff on the docket. You just talked about all these great games. Bowl season underway. Here we go. Here we go. See you tomorrow.
At United Dairy Farmers, we've perfected freshness in our family bakery, where we use only the finest ingredients, like thick, high-quality glazes on our signature donuts, before delivering them fresh from bakery to store every day. UDF, made for you.
If your AC or furnace is struggling, turn to the experts at Bartell's Heating and Cooling. Their certified technicians get the job done right the first time, and if you need a new unit, Bartell's will give you upfront pricing with no hidden fees. Plus, ask about Bartell's 0% interest financing for 60 months. Learn more at bartellsheatingandcooling.com. Bartell's Heating and Cooling, for a comfortable way of life. Eli's Sports Bar and Grill, proudly sponsoring high school football with 3 locations in Mason, Liberty Township, and Ross, Ohio. Our 10-foot screens guarantee a great view from every seat in the house. Eli's Sports Bar and Grill, the best place in Cincinnati for sports, food, and fun.
turn when you're in pain. Turn where more high school, college, and pro athletes turn. Where your neighbors and weekend warriors turn. Turn to Beacon Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and get superior care on your schedule. That's the Beacon difference.
Check out our fresh arrivals at Jake Swinney Used Cars. Over 250 used vehicles weekly. All makes, all models. From economy to luxury, Jake Swinney, the original used car superstore.
Welcome into Not Too Picky. Today is Thursday, December 15th, 2022. Paul Fritchner, Reed Mouse, Casey McAllister, and we have a loaded show for you today. Reed Mouse has spent the last 2 hours putting in a graphic to pick every single bowl game.
Oh, I was scrambling. There's going to be a lot of misspelled schools, a lot of maybe even wrong spreads, but we scrambled in the past 2 hours. We got them all in there.
Perfect.
It's like 40 bowl games, right?
Yeah, I think it's 43, which by the way, if you want to go back to the Chatterbox Sports, can you turn my headset up just a little bit, Casey, please? I appreciate it. If you want to go back to the Chatterbox Sports Twitter, there is a link to the College Bowl Pick'em that we will do. We have I think we already have like over 20 people in that contest.
Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah,
I mean, there's 58 people watching.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
against the spread. So let's go through Not Too Picky here real quick. What we're going to do today is we are going to pick every bowl game. We're also going to have Mike Schmaltz on here in a little bit. How about Mike Schmaltz last week with the Thundering Herd? Marshall.
Heck of a
pick. So Mike will be on. He'll be on here in just a minute. Just talk to him. Then we'll pick every bowl game. What we're going to do going forward, because I've had a couple of people text me about Not Too Picky's format. Monday, Thursday of next week, we will have Mike on for some picks next week on Thursday. But what we're going to do is we are going to switch things around because I don't think we'll be here the day after Christmas. Maybe we will. That's a Monday.
It's up to Thom.
We don't know. That's a Thom decision. I am probably going to say that we won't be here the day after Christmas. Maybe we will be. But either way, next Monday, the 19th, then you have Thursday, then only 2 more shows would be that Monday of Christmas. And if there's no show there, it would just be that Thursday before sports gambling launches on January 1st. Now, all this time I've been talking about Sports Gambling 101. Reed and I are going to do that. On Monday, we'll sit up here and we will teach you. I'm going to put you on the spot there, Reed.
Yeah,
we will sit up here and we will tell you about spreads. We'll make some graphics. We'll tell you about spreads, money lines, and we'll make it easy enough that you need what you need to know when sports gambling launches on January 1st. It's going to be short. It's going to be like 15, 20 minutes. So we're not going to bog you down with everything. We're not going to get lost in the weeds of crazy. We're just so you can have a smart conversation with somebody at your New Year's Eve party and you say, hey, in 2 hours when the ball drops in New York City and I get to put in my first bet, what's a money line and what's a spread?
Paul's got that for you.
We have that for you.
Yeah.
We have that for you. Casey, let me know when Mike is in the chat.
He's in.
He's in. He's in.
Let's roll.
All right, let's roll. Oh, look at the Bobcats.
Schmaltzy.
Look at the Bobcats.
Bobbies.
Let's
Bobcats
go,
back.
Schmaltz.
Bobcats are back. Turn that on. Is that better? That's going to work better.
All right.
You look great. You sound
Bobcats
great.
are back. We love it. One more chance. We ride into what? The Arizona Bowl? Let's go.
Yeah, baby.
Arizona
The
Bowl.
Barstool
Let's go.
Arizona Bowl. How about that?
Let's go. Let's take our backup quarterback to Arizona. Let's play a little.
Yeah, why not?
roll.
Sling it around.
Right?
You're loaded.
Right.
Mike, great pick on Marshall last week. The Thundering
How about
Herd.
that? The herd comes through for you in the pinch. Isn't that amazing?
Unbelievable.
They were scoring a lot of points. And it continued. That one opening loss was weird, but they still scored a lot of points in that one.
I will say, on college basketball, I gave out Arizona State earlier this week.
You
If
guys
we're
are
on
on
Twitter,
fire.
we've been doing pretty. I said we just had to wait till college basketball rolled around. We've been doing all right. All right, Mike.
Well, no Southwest Ohio basketball team covers like the Marshall Thundering Herd.
That's
There's
exactly
no
Not
right.
at all. Not at all.
All right, Mike, what do you have for us today?
Regional misdirection region. It was associated with the Miami thing. Remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Both start with names. Close.
Sort of in there.
Alphabetically.
We'll transfer. Let's not let geographics get in the way of this. Okay?
No way.
The last thing that I am going to do is let the bounds of Southwest Ohio get in front of me making money.
Let's rock and roll.
Don't let my geographic ignorance influence, what other knowledge I think I have in this particular area.
Okay, Mike, what knowledge are you going to drop on us today?
All right, here's what we got. Let's go to tonight. We've got the Niners and Seattle, correct?
Well, finally a good game.
We don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be able to play all that effectively. He's a little bit injured. I think he plays, right? Because who else do they have? I don't know who the other quarterback would be. So I think they're going to have to run it, right? I think Christian McCaffrey's going to be a featured guy. So his combined yardage, 121.5. If you go over that, it's minus 135. Seattle is 31st against the rush and 17th against the pass. So I think McCaffrey, they're going to hand it off to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to throw it to him.
Mm-hmm.
He has, however, gone over. He's only gone over 121 twice this season with the 49ers. How you feel about that?
Well, it's only like in 4 weeks, right? He's only been playing for like a month for them, so he's got that in the bag.
5 games.
He's got that in the bag.
5 games.
So,
that's a winner.
Yeah,
that's our first winner of the day.
I mean, just don't go
It's a bad defense and a nicked-up quarterback, so I think it's short passes, right? And then he can, of course, run the football. And their defense is good enough to give them some possession, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike,
Let's
before you move on, we have a suggestion in the chat from Casey's fiance. She says I'm gonna need a Mike Schmaltz original shirt with "How about that?"
What do you think about
that? How about that?
We'll take that. I love that idea.
Yeah, just how about that?
How about that?
How about that?
Love it. Love it.
All right.
It's in OU green.
As long as she's not asking me out, that would be awkward.
All right, what's your next one?
It's happened. It hasn't happened a lot, but it's happened. All right, let's go to Saturday. Let's go to UC. How about this game? UC and Louisville, the coachless, rudderless teams matching up in this bowl game. So it's basically a pick 'em, right? Cincinnati's +1 at minus 110, as is Louisville -1. But Malik Cunningham not going to play for Louisville. If you look at the numbers on that, he's such a big part of their offense. Like everything, rushing, passing. I think Cincinnati's going to find a way. And they've got Kerry Combs, who's definitely worth a point to me. If you think back to when he coached at Coleraine High School, he's playing in the state playoffs. It's snowing sideways. It's 20 degrees out. He's out there in a golf shirt coaching that game. So I think the Kerry Combs passion is worth a point here, and I think the Bearcats have more consistency in what they're going to put on the field.
So we're buying the Kerry Combs effect.
I'm buying the Kerry Combs effect. Are you?
Which side is Coach Satterfield on this weekend?
He's neutral. He's Switzerland.
He's just going to sit in the middle of the field, and they've got to play around him.
I don't even know if he's going to go. How sad is that?
That is sad.
Yeah, he said he's probably not even going to be there. He doesn't want any piece of this.
Yeah, he can just
He's not going to be there.
He can just wear red and call it a day.
Right, just wear a neutral red.
Just wears a red and calls it a day.
Exactly. So I don't think he's even going to be involved.
Bear Kittens.
So now you've got kind of the backup coaching staff for Louisville. You're going to have more consistency on the Cincinnati staff, I believe. Let's take the Bearcats. What do you think?
Why not? Oh. We have faded the...
No, not around you guys.
Right?
Okay,
we have faded the Bearcats a lot this year on this show, and to a pretty decent profit. Bearcats were not great.
Covered a whole lot.
Bearcats were not great against the spread. But you know what? It's bowl season. Kerry Combs, let's hop on board.
We need a field goal. Win by 1.
Yeah.
They'll do it.
I don't care when that happens. Reed, you're kind of the voice of reason in this equation between Paul and I. What's your opinion there?
Oh, of the UC Louisville game? Kerry Combs?
Yeah.
You're saying he's worth a point? That dude's worth 2 touchdowns. Go ahead and give it to the Bearcats.
See? Let's go.
You don't win in the GMC without being able to beat Louisville.
Absolutely. Well, Louisville's kind of down to the GMC level right now, which is not an insult to the GMC.
What else?
Cardinals still in the GMC.
You sent me a long list of handwritten notes.
Yes. Well, it was illegal, Pat. I got to look at my numbers. I need numbers.
Yeah, well,
you know that you might not know, Paul, but there was that movie, The Beautiful Mind, with Russell Crowe.
Great movie.
So he was kind of the psychotic physics professor that sort of wrote things on the wall. That's kind of me.
You are a beautiful mind, Mike.
Yes, and he hallucinates a lot, so I'm kind of on that track too.
I wasn't going to go there, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Oregon State is playing Florida on Saturday. This is another bowl game. Half of Florida's team is not going to play in that. Oregon State's a 10-point favorite. I saw them play USC. It was a pretty good game. I think Oregon State covers that at -110.
Is that just because you feel like the Florida players aren't playing? Is that the vibe you're getting?
Absolutely. So Richardson with AR-15, I know he changed his – he's not going to play. He's their quarterback. Like, he wasn't playing that great anyway, but they've got so many guys out. I was looking at that yesterday. It's at least 5 or 6, like, impact guys. And Oregon State had enough offense in at least the one game I saw, which was October.
Roll beef.
Okay.
I like the Beavers.
All
Let's
right.
take the Beavs.
Let's do it.
Do it. All right. I got Bills, Dolphins. I like the Bills -7. It's going to snow. Dolphins are 23rd against the pass. They give up 242 yards a game. So Josh Allen's Dolphins are 7th against the rush. Josh Allen's rush total is 47.5. I like under for 115. So I don't think he runs against them. I think he throws against them.
Did you guys see?
But I don't know how often he throws.
In the snow.
Did you guys see that the Dolphins, who played in Los Angeles this past weekend, had heaters on their sideline in Los Angeles? It was 60 degrees, and they had heaters on their sideline. They're going to Buffalo this week. Buffalo.
Yeah. In the snow at Buffalo.
They're going to implode.
Hopefully it doesn't move to Detroit. If it gets moved to Detroit, I don't think that's a possibility, right? Oh, it's a Saturday game, so they would have to do that like now.
Oh, they're not. This isn't getting moved.
Right?
They are
in Buffalo.
It's a grin and bear it situation.
Maybe they can play in Syracuse.
Yeah.
I'll play in the Carrier Dome.
No, we don't want to do that. We need the elements. You can't make the Dolphins more comfortable. You ever seen a dolphin in a cold tub? I don't like that. It's very unpleasant.
I've not seen that.
Have you seen that?
Not really, but I mean, imagine that.
What else you got?
I don't like to be in a cold tub. I probably need it. Maybe, my head should be in there a lot. But anyway, that's what I got. So I think Josh Allen -115 under the 47.5.
Okay.
For rushing yards.
All right.
Okay.
With me there? Okay. And then we got the Bucs Bengals. Okay. I like the Bengals on the spread.
Okay.
And Leonard Fournette his longest rush is 10.5. I like under the 10.5 because the Bengals did a great job on Derrick Henry. They did a great job last week for the most part. I don't know that Chubb got like a 10-yarder against them. He was pretty close. But I think they hold Fournette under the 10.5 on his longest rush. And he might get hurt. Fournette might get hurt and come out.
He might get hurt. There you go. You just hope he starts and gets hurt, and then you're good.
He starts.
Yeah, just twist an ankle on the first play.
Is this the most daring bet that Mike has ever given us?
I like that bet.
I do too. This is spicy.
I like that.
The more and more we have you on the show, Mike, the more and more you started to branch out into things that really get your adrenaline pumping. Look at that sheet.
That's a good sheet.
Pad,
that is
good bet sheet.
The pad.
I don't want anybody in this YouTube chat to come in here and think that Mike does not put in the effort when he goes into picking these games, because he sends me these sheets. Most of the time I tweet him out. I have forgotten a couple of times, but he'll send me a picture and he'll say, "Here's what I have for you," just as like an audit.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Mike is he does all of this research, but at the end of the day, his picks, they're not too picky.
No, they're not.
They're not too
Never
picky.
too picky.
Never too picky.
I'm trying to not, I was using the shotgun approach and hit like everything and missing a lot of them, so we're trying to focus a little bit.
Sniper, not a shotgun.
Exactly. 40 yards out in the wind, that kind of thing.
Heck yes.
All right, Mike.
All right, do we want to talk about the World Cup final?
If you want to talk about it, I'm all about talking about it.
Here's my opinion. So France allegedly has the flu. So just to win the cup, there's a regular time bet, and then there's just to win the cup bet. And it's basically a pick 'em. It's France, I believe, is -115 to win it, just outright. and Argentina is minus 110. I've got two thoughts on that. France allegedly has the flu, but they won yesterday with what, 3 goals?
Mm-hmm.
One of the most, the other side of it is the most influential, or the organization that can be most influenced for a storyline is probably FIFA. Like, look, they take money to move stuff places. They're a corrupt organization for the most part. They would love to see Messi win this, right? And it's 110 for Argentina. So do we go with the corrupt FIFA administration going with the storyline and the flu with France and take Argentina at minus 110 just to win it?
That's the conspiracy pick, right?
So we're going on the flu and conspiracies, and I'm all the way in.
I'm on board. Plus, the French aren't going to win back-to-back, right? I mean,
there's no way they could win back-to-back
No
titles.
way.
World Cups?
What?
FIFA
The
won't
French
let
are
that happen.
cantankerous. Yeah, the other thought there is, this Mbappe or whatever his name is, he's got, he's 20-something. He's going to be there a while. This is Messi's last.
He's 23. He's 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got more World Cups coming.
Messi's going to win this.
Messi has to win this, right?
Let's make it Messi. Let's make it a Messi battle. With me?
This guy.
Let's go. Okay.
And I'd take Morocco in the other one.
Just in case. Take Morocco.
That's the first. There's I guess a second place game.
Yeah.
Third place. Mike, I do want to. I do want you to know before I let you go that there were many questions in the chat asking if you were going to be on the show today, and the chat has been popping while you've been on. So I appreciate you coming in and imparting your wisdom every week.
That absolutely surprises me, but I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Absolutely, Mike. Next Thursday we're gonna have some big things to recap and pick.
Oh yeah, we got a ton.
Do you have anything that I need to budget for next weekend? That's what you need to do.
No, I don't think so.
Here's what you need to do. You need to come in next week with your budget pick and pick one of the New Year's 6 games, because that'll be after the next show. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I also have a little bit of a issue. I tried to reactivate my FanDuel account, which I did like years ago because of the fantasy stuff you could do, and I'm under some type of suspension. So clearly they think that I'm going to be effective.
They're limiting you.
In the
You're too good.
You're too sharp.
Too sharp.
You're too sharp.
They might be, watching this not too picky. They might be going to the archives here. They're scared of me. FanDuel.
Wow.
DraftKings, though, they love me.
Mike, I'll say this. I'm counting down the days patiently, waiting for February. Not because I can't wait for your Super Bowl picks. I can't wait to bet on Joey Logano again. In the Daytona.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be
absolutely
free gas.
Absolutely, he's back. And the
Discounted
gas
gas.
discount. Let's not forget that. That's still important. Inflation is
Logano.
real. Joey,
How about that?
How about that?
we love it.
Mike, you're the man. Appreciate it.
Boys, have a good weekend.
See you, Mike.
See you, Mike.
Messi.
I don't know if they got the 2 more Messis, but he said Messi twice as he exited
he's
the screen.
best.
All right, let's get into
All
this.
right, so we have 30 minutes here. We don't have to use all of it, but I do have a meeting at 1 that we gotta be out of here by then.
We'll rush through this.
No, we don't have to rush because you spent 2 hours putting in a graphic for every single bowl game, and damn it, if we aren't
misspellings, there'll be like clues.
We're going to pick every game. All right. Casey, I can run it from here if you want.
That's up to you.
Yeah, I'll run it from here so that way you don't have to worry about a thing. Casey, before we get into the football, since we're just talking about the World Cup, did you have anything to offer on the World Cup since you're our resident soccer?
I did not.
Good. Messi?
Messi.
At least we're all on the same page.
Everyone's on Messi.
We start with the Bahamas Bowl, Miami. Not Florida.
Yeah, they always say Miami, Ohio. It's Miami, not Florida. I mean, you're going to love and honor all the way, right? I mean, Miami, they get 11.5 against a school that didn't even have a team like 5 years ago. Redhawks.
Yep. I'm picking the Redhawks, too. Redhawks have been they were a wagon to start the year against the spread, but then they ran into some injury issues. I still think, what is that, 11.5? I'm trusting you on all these spreads.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it. It's 11 now.
Okay.
It's 11.
Oh, that's fine.
I will say this. We've got 2 coaches on the wall here in the studio. Chuck Martin's one of them.
That's true.
So we've got to go there.
Okay, the Cure Bowl.
The Cure Bowl.
Texas UTSA against Troy.
You like how that's not a full PNG on the left side? It was one of those fakes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a full PNG. Came in as a JPEG. Beep, beep. Give me the Roadrunners.
I'm going to take Troy.
Okay.
Troy's had a decent season this year. They've also stumbled at different points in the year. But this is a close enough game, and I'm going to take the underdog. I'm going to take Troy plus 1.5. The Fenway. Now, I will say, everything that I'm about to say is subject to change as I figure out who's actually going to play in these games when I do my bowl pick'em.
Yeah.
Maybe they change, maybe they don't, but I don't want to give away all my bowl pick'em picks.
Well, we're just not too picky here.
Yeah.
So we just want to throw it away. So I will say this. Louisville, that logo up there, that's not the Louisville Cardinal. That's the Arizona Cardinals.
This is the Arizona Cardinals.
So we're firing through these as we go on. I will say this. Kerry Combs. Cardinals won a lot of games with Kerry Combs as the head coach. The Coleraine Cardinals. But I'm still taking him. Give me UC. He's worth 2 touchdowns as we went over.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take UC as well. I think they have something to play for here. I think Kerry Combs finally getting a chance here. I think he'll fire him up. Louisville, Malik Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
No. So without that element of the game, I'm going to take UC. Las Vegas Bowl, Florida, Oregon State.
If you think I'm going to sit up here as a proud Bluffton Beaver alum and not take the Beavs, you are mistaken, my friend. Roll
Sorely.
Beav. Give me Oregon State.
I'm also rolling with Oregon State, mostly based on what Mike said earlier, and Florida, like he said, sitting a lot of people out. What in the world is the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl?
I looked that up, and I didn't. I got all these bowl names from the CBS thing, and it said Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. So apparently that's a bowl.
No, I had heard that he was putting his name out there. Is this the first year of the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl?
No idea.
Okay. I don't know a thing about the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. I think it might be the second year. I think he may have done it last year.
I think you're right.
Or maybe he did it in COVID and the bowl game didn't end up happening, or there was
Right.
some story about it. I don't think this is the first year of the Kimmel Bowl. Or at least it wasn't supposed to be the first year of the Kimmel Bowl. But it features Fresno State and Washington State. Fresno State's been a good team this year.
Yes, they have. But in honor of Mike Leach, I'm taking Washington State. Right? He used to coach there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me Washington State.
Memory of Mike Leach.
Yeah.
All right. Give me Jimmy Kimmel's Washington State Cougars.
You taking the Bulldogs or the Cougs?
I think I'm taking the Bulldogs here. I think I'm taking the favorites. I don't remember what I picked in the I think I might have picked oh man, this is like circling the wrong answer on a question you don't know. I'll roll with Fresno State here. I'll roll with Fresno State. Now the Lending Tree Bowl.
Yeah.
This is a bowl that's been around a little while. The Lending Tree.
Southern Miss favored by a touchdown. I'm a baseball guy. Rice has a really good baseball program. That's literally the reason I'm picking the Rice House.
I also am going to pick Rice at a touchdown in a game like this between two teams that kind of go back and forth. I want to pick Rice. Thanks for all these graphics.
You're welcome.
This is fantastic.
2 hours of my time. Never get it back, but we're doing it right here
This is
now.
fantastic. Well, yeah, but the people watching appreciate this. The New Mexico Bowl, SMU and BYU.
Brigham Young University versus Southern Methodist University. And I'll tell you right now, my house here in Hamilton sits right across the street from a United Methodist Church. And for that reason, I'm taking the Pony Express.
Do you remember earlier in the season when we thought BYU was going to go to the playoff?
Yeah.
Everybody was looking at the BYU schedule and they were saying, well, if they could beat Oregon and if BYU can just roll a few wins together, maybe BYU is going to be this year's Cincinnati. And now they're in the New Mexico Bowl against SMU.
Yep. Well, they played an American Conference team, so you said Cincinnati. Close enough, right?
Yeah.
They ended up in a similar spot. Who are you taking?
I'm taking BYU. Taking BYU in this one.
Go Mormons.
Frisco.
The Frisco Bowl.
North Texas and Boise State. Reed Mouse, don't know a damn thing about either one of them.
Well, before off the bench every once in a while, you get the Statue of Liberty play that Thom called?
Yeah.
Boise State.
Boise State. So what I do think I know about this game now. Does this spread say 10.5?
Yes.
Okay. What I think I know about this game is that Boise State was supposed to also have a better season than they did.
So good roster is what you're telling me.
I could be wrong on that. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. I'm pretty sure Boise State had an underwhelming season. They were 9-4. That's what their record ended up being, 9-4. But I'm pretty sure that they were supposed to end up a little better than that. But I didn't. Did I watch 1 second of BYU football this year? No.
You did watch a lot of North Texas football.
Oh, the Mean Green?
Oh, yeah.
Tuned in. They play on Saturdays.
Dialed it.
Yeah, I'll take North Texas in this one.
I love how we're going against each other a lot.
Did you take Boise State?
I did.
Oh, boy. Myrtle Beach Bowl. The Huskies. Big East.
If you think I'm going to sit up here and let the Marshall Thundering Herd, who Mike picked last week in basketball and who beat our Notre Dame Fighting Irish, think they're not going to cover against UConn, representing an entire basketball conference in the Big East?
The Big East!
Give me the Thundering Herd. I like Matthew McConaughey. I watched that movie. What's that movie called?
We Are Marshall?
We Are Marshall. And for that reason,
they played Xavier.
They did play Xavier. That's who they beat in that movie.
Yeah.
Give me the Thundering Herd.
I'm taking the Huskies.
Oh, baby.
Big East, baby. Big East is back. Football.
Oh, baby.
Right in there. UConn. 10.5-point underdogs. Oh, my goodness. UConn's playing in a bowl game. The Huskies.
Are they in a conference in football?
No, they're independent.
They're independent. Love it.
They're just rolling. They're just
Notre Dame.
Rolling out there, doing their own thing. Huskies trying to just make their way in life. Why do they even have – I don't want to say why do they have a football program, because that was a big deal with why they joined the AAC originally.
One of the best football games I ever watched featured UConn football. As a kid, UC was on a rip. Tony Pike got hurt. Zach Collaris comes in and has a heck of a game. Back and forth.
Zach Collaris, quarterback of the future.
Canadian football legend.
Give me the Huskies.
All right.
The Idaho Potato Bowl. You ever been to Idaho?
I have been west of Kansas once in my life.
Okay. So in Idaho's obviously known for their potatoes. In Idaho, there is
Kansas graphic.
Oh, I didn't even notice this. Wait, so who's playing in this bowl?
Kansas.
Oh, but you used the UCF logo?
Yeah, I must have duplicated it from some other. And
the Boca Raton? No, I don't know. Okay, but it's Kansas in the bowl.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Kansas versus Arkansas.
But you have Duke as the spread.
Listen, man, this is 2 hours. You're going to get these little feeds. I was rocking and rolling. I was running through these.
Is anything about this right?
They are playing against each other.
Okay, Arkansas is playing Kansas.
Yes.
And Duke is favored in the game by 2.
And Duke is going to be, or Kansas is going to be wearing UCF.
Okay, so what's the line on this game?
I'm trying to find it.
All right. While you're finding the line,
what are you going to tell me?
There is a museum, the Idaho Potato Museum in Idaho.
Okay.
It's a little tiny museum, home to the world's biggest potato chip.
And it's, how big's it?
It is
bigger than this table?
It's not bigger than the table, but it's large. It's probably maybe this big, maybe. I don't know, maybe this big. And it's under a what do they call those things? Those panes of glass. It's not bulletproof, but it's like light reflective, I guess. You know, one of those things. Can't let that good old potato chip deteriorate. That's all I got on the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Spread is Arkansas -3 against Kansas. The winner of this game gets naming rights, right?
Yeah.
Because it's Arkansas, Kansas. Like, they got to figure this thing out, right?
Why do we do this?
What?
Why do these states, I mean, it should be Arkansas or it should be Kansas.
Right. They're fighting. This is what this game is for. And look at that production on the fly.
Atta baby, Casey.
Casey rolling in there.
Put the camera on yourself, Casey. Uh-oh. He didn't want to right there. That was a big eye roll.
Casey, in honor of this game.
Yeah.
Can you give me a pig call?
A pig?
Yeah, calling the hogs. No? Okay.
That
was good! That was great. Who are you taking in this one, Paul?
I'm taking Arkansas.
He's taking Arkansas. That's right, though. Arkansas.
I didn't even do that on purpose. I'm taking Arkansas.
You got a big call?
No, not after what Casey just did. I can't follow up greatness. The woo Big Suey.
Yeah, that's right. My sister-in-law's from Arkansas. Come here, Piggy. Come here, Piggy. Piggy! That's better. That's way better. Give me the Hogs.
Give me the Hogs. On to the next.
Yep.
The Boca Raton Bowl. Toledo and Liberty. Did you really want to pick Liberty here?
I didn't get all the flashing graphics off. There's probably going to be flashing graphics for the next few. I got to go with the Glass Bowl. Give me the Rockets.
Okay.
I didn't used to work in their parking lot selling parking tickets.
You sold parking tickets?
Oh yeah, that was a Bluffton Beaver fundraiser. Yeah, we just sold tickets.
Sold parking. Okay, Toledo, I'm with you.
Rockets.
Oh, does Liberty have somebody sitting out? How are they 5-point underdogs in this game?
Malik Willis isn't there anymore.
They got to have people out. I'm going to pick this on the assumption that people are playing, and I'm going to pick Liberty.
Okay.
Sorry, Reed.
You're fine.
The New Orleans Bowl.
I told you it was going to be like this for the next few picks.
Okay. South Alabama.
Versus Western Kentucky, who took one on the chin on the hardwood yesterday against Louisville.
They were 7.5-point favorites. And you know what's funny? We didn't have a show. I should have given it out on the box lunch, and I forgot. Louisville was a hammer play last night.
Oh, were they?
They were 2-point. The spread was 2 points different from Ken Pom. They were a 3-point Ken Pom underdog, and they were 4.5. They were a 7.5-point actual underdog. When you see a spread like that different,
gotta take
hammer Louisville.
They won by 10.
They won by 10. They won by 11 outright.
So you got in this one.
Hilltoppers.
Oh, you gotta take the Hilltoppers.
Hilltoppers.
Gotta take the Hilltoppers here.
It's flashing for a reason. Armed Forces. Do we have our retired U.S. veteran in this chat? In the Armed Forces Bowl?
I don't know.
I don't know. But I'm taking Baylor.
I mean, the SEC or Big 12 is clearly the play here. I'll say this, though. I've been on this take for a long time. The fact that the Air Force Falcons run a triple option is the worst branding opportunity of all time. They've got to be running the air raid. It's got to be fixed soon. That being said, I was an Air Force fan growing up. I used to love my Falcons. When I was shopping around my college fandom, I had a Feel the Thunder Air Force shirt. They've got a linebacker who's from Hamilton, Ohio. He's a Hamilton Big Blue grad. Give me the Falcons.
All right. Yet another one that you and I differ on. Give me the Baylor Bears. So we go from the Armed Forces Bowl to the Independence Bowl. Houston and Louisiana Lafayette. Now, I was on Louisiana Lafayette last year for their team total over, and I loved watching their games last year.
The Raging Cajuns.
Raging Cajuns were a lot of fun. Houston had a decent season. Houston minus 6.5. Give me the Cougars.
Cougars, baby. Case Keenum's alma mater. That's it, right?
Is that what it is?
It's a U and an H. See,
my pinky looks.
Makes
what
it
is
U and
going
an H.
on with my pinky?
Yeah, give me the Cougars.
Give me the Cougars. The Gasparilla Bowl, best name.
Where's that played?
Where is it played?
Tampa. They have
I was going to say Florida, but I didn't know.
They have that big Gasparilla.
Oh, yes.
Festival where everyone dresses up like a pirate, similar to like
yes.
Cincinnati has SantaCon.
I was going to say Florida, but I couldn't remember where. Wake Forest.
You're taking Wake? Oh, did I spell it wrong? There we go. I told you. I mean, they're like Easter eggs. You just got to keep rolling. So.
Wake Forest -1. Mizzou. Hey, you know what they did?
What did Mizzou do?
I want you to know. The Reds, they played well in Atlanta.
Ooh.
Mizzou, they kept it close against Georgia.
Look what we did in Atlanta? Is that what you're telling me?
Look what we did in Atlanta. Give me the Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Give me the Tigers.
I'm taking the Demon Deacons.
Nah.
We just got to keep going different.
Hawaii Bowl. San Diego State, Middle Tennessee. Long trip for Middle Tennessee. Give me the Give me the Aztecs.
It is a long trip. Still a long trip for San Diego State. People don't realize how far Hawaii is out there. Give me the Aztecs.
Yeah, give me the Aztecs.
It's closer to Asia, right?
It has to be.
It's closer to Asia than it is America. It's like a 6-hour flight.
The Quick Lane Bowl. Bowling Green, New Mexico State.
I spent a lot of nights up in Bowling Green back in college. Not a whole lot to do in Bluffton, Ohio. So we had to go up to Bowling Green. So give me the Falcons.
I don't know what to do here. Didn't watch a single play of either one of these teams.
Brian Urlacher, New Mexico. He went to New Mexico. He was a Lobo. He wasn't a...
You know what? I know the broadcaster at New Mexico State. Give me New Mexico State.
Ooh, what's his name?
Adam Young.
Adam Young.
Very nice guy.
Yeah. Jury's out.
I don't know what this bowl is, Reed. The Camila Cabello Bowl?
It is.
What is the name of this bowl?
It is, according to CBS, the Camellia Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama.
Did you spell this right? What is this?
Camellia. Is that right?
CAM. No, then you spelled it wrong. It's Camellia? Camellia Bowl? What is a Camellia?
Don't know.
The Camellia Bowl is an annual NCAA-sanctioned FBS college football game played in Montgomery, Alabama at the Crampton Bowl. It features a matchup between the Sun Belt and the MAC. I was about to pull a...
The MAC?
The
Mid-American Conference?
I was about to pull a Ron Burgundy there. What is Camellia?
I don't know. Give me the Bison. Give me Buffalo.
Yeah. Sure. Give me the Bison. Please, somebody in the chat, fill me in on what in the world Camellia is. I don't have time to look it up right now. The First Responder Bowl, Memphis and Utah State. Memphis -7.5. Give me Utah State.
I refuse to pick someone from Utah, so give me Memphis 7.5, more than a touchdown.
Do you remember at the beginning of the year when there were those two guys that put in those 4-digit bets on Utah State to win the national championship because they played Alabama in week 2? And they were like, well, if Utah State beats Alabama and goes undefeated, they could sneak into the playoff.
No, I don't remember, but that's the most idiotic bet I've ever heard.
There were 2
4-digit bets.
There were 2 bets that were put in on Utah State to win the national championship earlier this year. 2 random guys bet $2,000 on Utah State to win the national championship. And then a third came in later.
Thank you, Cincinnati kid. He said, Camellia is a flower.
So it's a bowl sponsored after flowers?
Could be just
so it's like a 1-800
the state flower
bowl.
of Alabama, probably.
Oh, okay. The Birmingham Bowl. Go back to Alabama.
East Carolina versus Coastal Carolina? A Carolina Bowl? Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Chanticleers. Fun story about the Chanticleers.
I like the Chanticleers, too.
Fun story about the Chanticleers.
What baseball player went to Chanticleer? They got a good baseball program, right?
East Carolina?
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina.
You know what?
Chanticleers.
Yeah. Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, they won the national championship 5 years ago.
They've got it.
So fun story about Coastal Carolina. Last year, during their season, they were on this crazy streak of covering their... Now, you want to talk about getting into the weeds on a bet? The Coastal Carolina first half team total. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
That bet had hit for almost 2 consecutive years. So I took it one game just blindly. I took it. I think it was at 17, or it was at 16.5, and we needed 17. Coastal Carolina had 3 points with 2 minutes left in the first half. And I'm sitting there, I'm slumped down on my couch, and I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? The streak's going to come to an end now? They score a touchdown real quick. They have 10 points. There's life.
Yeah.
With 4 seconds left, I think it was, in the first half, the team they were playing lined up for a punt. They had to punt it away. Reed, the punt gets blocked.
Oh, baby!
Coastal picks it up.
That's why we do it.
I'm on my horse.
That's
Get
why
in
we
the
do
end zone, baby! Get in the end zone! Touchdown. They covered the first half team total over. I sent it in to Scott Van Pelt and Stanford Steve, and they used it on Bad Beats the next
Heck
Monday.
yes.
It was unbelievable.
Heck yes.
They never confirmed that it was because of me, but I'd like to think it was because of me.
Well, it is because of you.
How in the world
Clearly.
would you have found that bet if I didn't submit it?
Take the Chanticleer.
Coastal Carolina first half team total over 16.5 was the bet. That was, I have 2 thrills in my life from betting. That was one of them.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
The thrills are not as good as the bad beats, though. You always will remember the bad beats.
Yeah.
You forget about the thrills sometimes. Take the Chanticleer.
Oh, Sir Boy Wonder. Now, see, this is why we keep Sir Boy Wonder around. Camellia is a genus of flowering plants in the you know what, Sir Boy Wonder? I'm not even going to attempt to read all that. How would you say that? Thassia? I don't know.
Botany.
Next
botany.
one. But Sir Boy Wonder has in the
Thank
YouTube
you.
chat whatever that flower is. Thank you, Sir Boy. Guaranteed rate bowl. Now we're starting to get into some of the bigger ones. Guaranteed rate bowl. Can I take the Chicago White Sox?
Right. Jacob May, Chicago White Sox, went to Coastal Carolina.
I'm taking Wisconsin because it's closer to Chicago than Oklahoma State.
I like to wave the wheat. Give me Oklahoma State. Give me the Cowboys.
Give me Luke Fickell. He's not coaching in this game.
Nope.
Jim Leonard coaching this game?
No.
He's got to be. He's the interim. Got to be coaching this game. They have fired up for Jim Leonard. Give me the Badgers.
Give me the
Come
Cowboys.
on, man.
Cowboys.
Easy pick. Military Bowl.
Here we go. That's where
this is where the graphic was from before.
There it
Duke
is.
and UCF. Give me UCF.
Yeah, they have more national championships than Duke in football. So give
True.
me UCF. Give me the Golden Knights.
All right. Liberty Bowl.
We already did this.
Hold on a second, Reed. I think we already did this.
So I made a duplicate. There we go. Well, at least I got the graphic right.
Holiday Bowl. UNC and Oregon. I love that neon that you see on the screen right there. I'm blanking on his name. Drake May, UNC quarterback. Is he not playing?
I don't know.
Why is this 14?
I think that spread's fair. I think that spread's fair.
14?
Yes.
You taking the Ducks, Reed?
Yes.
Oh, man. Give me the Tar Heels.
Oh, baby.
Somebody's got to be sitting out. I'm going to eat my words there. Pinstripe Bowl. We're back to New York City. We never went there in the first place, but we're back now. Minnesota and Syracuse. Syracuse, closer to New York than Minnesota. The Qs, they play in a dome.
But, yeah, they don't have any familiarity with the weather.
It's true.
Minnesota has a lot more, and we were talking about Dave Winfield on Off the Bench earlier. You got to take the Golden Gophers.
I know. I have to take the Golden Gophers. Cheez-It Bowl. Oklahoma and Florida State. Give me the Sooners here. Give me the Sooners.
Dude, we are on separate sides of almost all these bets. Give me the Seminoles.
Okay. The Alamo Bowl. Texas. Washington.
You going up or down?
I'm sticking up.
I'm sticking up, too. I wanted to go down. We touching it? That's weird.
All right.
Is that what they do?
Nah, dude, I don't know.
Yeah. Felt weird.
Maryland and NC State.
Love the colors there. Give me Tua's little
Did you
brother.
do that Maryland on purpose? That brown?
No.
Okay.
Give me Tua's little brother. Give me the Terrapins.
Yeah, give me the Terps too. The Texas Bowl. Ole Miss and Texas Tech. The Raiders. Give them to me.
I already lost money on Ole Miss this year. I want to lose some more. Give me the Rebels.
Is that the most memorable bet of the year in college football? Ole Miss and Kentucky. That'll live forever.
Well, we talked about it all week. It was a system play, and the system had hit like 7 straight games. So we're like, dude, this is gonna hit. And then our chat was going off the chains.
Yeah.
Give me the Rebs.
All right. The Sun Bowl. Pitt and UCLA.
I'll be damned if I don't take the Bruins.
Yep, same here. Gator Bowl. Oh. Casey. The Gator Bowl. Got a preference here? There's one team that I think you should have a preference for if you live up to your word.
I do see it. My Notre Dame Fighting Leprechauns.
Did you get a little Irish accent to that? I think there was a little bit. Dublin.
They get it done.
All right, I do too.
Get it done.
Give me a -2.5. What did you have there?
I don't know. Notre Dame.
You got to make a pick, sure.
Irish.
All right. Arizona Bowl, Barstool, Ohio, Wyoming.
Pick 'em.
If you think that we are going to sit up here after
And
this
disrespect Schmaltzy. And Thom.
or Thom,
Roll Bobbies.
too much Bobcat flavor
I
on
was in
this
Athens
show.
last weekend.
Music City Bowl, Iowa and Kentucky. There might be 5 points in this game.
Have people watched this show this year?
Yeah, but he's not playing.
Oh, he's not.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody's playing. The total in this game is like 30.
I was going to take UK.
No.
Everyone should draft up to take Will Levis.
Will
Trade every draft pick you have.
Will Levis is not playing. There's a whole crew of people not playing for Kentucky.
Hamilton natives are running back at Iowa. Caleb Johnson, KJ.
Yeah, give me, as much as Reed and I have picked Kentucky this year, give me Iowa. The
Hawkeyes.
ReliaQuest Bowl? Never heard of this one either. Mississippi State and Illinois. Illinois kept it close against Michigan. Give me the Fighting Illini.
Mississippi State.
Playing for Mike Leach.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, there's no way I can pick against them. You actually have no heart.
Yeah.
For
I didn't
taking
even,
the Illini. No, you already sunk it in.
No. To be fair,
you have no heart.
I forgot for half a second that had happened. Mississippi State. Give them to me. You can't pick against that.
How could you be so heartless?
Yeah. Underdog.
Just got canceled.
Citrus Bowl. LSU Purdue.
Yeah, I mean, give me Brian Kelly against Purdue. Yeah. Minus 14.
14?
Yeah. Yep.
Give me the Boilers. No, wait, no. Jeff Brom went to Louisville. Give me LSU. The Orange Bowl. Yes, I read Orange thinking Syracuse. Clemson and Tennessee. Clemson here.
Yeah, Clemson.
I don't know. It's kind of ugly. Give me Clemson.
Hendon Hooker not playing, so Clemson.
Sugar Bowl. Alabama. Kansas State.
What about this spread?
Yeah, 3.
3? Is Bryce Young not playing?
Yeah, what's going on here?
I couldn't believe that spread.
Doesn't Bryce Young have to come back one more year?
I thought he was.
Is he a junior?
I thought he was going to get drafted this year.
Is he getting drafted this year? I thought.
Because it's like C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and Will Levis.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. I can't believe this spread.
That's bad on me. I was thinking for some reason he wasn't.
Seems like a trap line, but I'm going to take it.
I don't know.
I'll take Bama.
Sure,
seems like a trap line.
I'll take Bama at 3 against Kansas State. The Cotton Bowl, USC and Tulane.
Ooh. No way Caleb Williams is playing, right?
Caleb Williams was who I was thinking of, not Bryce Young.
There's no way.
Because Caleb Williams is
coming back.
Coming back, yeah. That's who I was thinking of, not Bryce Young. Is Caleb Williams playing, Casey?
I'm looking it up right now.
He has no reason to play. I know he's got to come back next year, but he's hurt.
All right,
playing Tulane.
I'm taking USC.
Yeah, I'm taking USC. I don't.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Don't worry about it, Casey. We're
it doesn't
taking
matter.
USC.
Caleb Williams.
Utah, Penn State, the Rose Bowl. Utes.
Actually, I'm gonna take the Nittany Lions. Give me the Nittany Lions.
I'm sticking with the Utes. I like what they did. Kyle Whittingham, leader of play it. Wait, Casey. Kyle Whittingham, leader of men.
When did you guys put in the "oh brother, this guy stinks"?
It's been in there. We have never used it.
And here we go. We got 5 minutes for the 2 games that matter. Georgia and Ohio State. Georgia minus 6.5. We are picking this against the spread. We will also tell you who we think is going to win the game.
This line makes no sense. Georgia's whole MO is just to bruise the crap out of you. Physical football. And that's where Ohio State struggles the most. This line makes no sense. Take the Buckeyes.
I hate it because you're right. I hate it.
It makes no sense.
I hate it because you're right. I hate it so much.
This should be a 2-touchdown game.
It should be.
And it's not even a touchdown game.
Georgia's going to win, but give me the Buckeyes.
To cover.
Kind of sounds like a scam.
Scam of the day. You love that soundboard, Casey. Casey loves this soundboard.
Scam of the day.
He's like, he's got a new toy, and he's got to show everybody it.
All right. I think Georgia wins this game, but 6.5 is a lot of points in a game like this. Oh man,
Georgia should be 2-touchdown favorites. You can't get me off that.
Yeah, my question to you is, if this game goes into overtime, can we bet on it in Ohio?
Yeah, if it goes
because this game will start. It's scheduled.
I've asked you, and they claim that it's going to be live at midnight.
They claim that at 12:01, your phone will be able to accept bets on whatever app you're on.
There's just no way.
Usually, like DraftKings or these other states, when they've gone live, it's been at 6 a.m.
When no one's up.
When nobody's up, and the sports from the night before have all settled. You know, all the games have settled. Any West Coast game is settled, whatever. But this game, like, it's not that out of the question to say that
they play at 8.
If
games are 4 hours.
If the tip, oh my God, my basketball tip time gets slid. If the kickoff
time, first pitch.
If the kickoff gets slid, 15 minutes. If we're really talking about like an 8:15, 8:20 kickoff, which happens a lot of times on these national games. If we're talking about that, and then you're talking about an overtime here, or even a close game.
Let's make a promise to each other.
Okay.
If this game
is still
playing
happening
at midnight, we have to make a bet on the game.
Agreed. Why would you even?
We have to. We'll tweet it out. Tweet out your screenshot of whatever you bet.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I will say is that whatever I do on January 1st, what I'll do is I'll pick like a minus 10,000 favorite and put like 5 cents on it just to start my year on a win. Just so I can say I started my year on a win.
There you go.
Just pick something random.
You won't even like you will just get 5 cents back.
Oh, dude, some years it's like 1 cent. Yeah. Oh, I'm fine with it.
No, I'm saying like if you put 5 cents on a minus 1,000 bet, they'll just be like, here's
you're not getting even money. Oh yeah, they're just like, here's your money back.
Right.
Yeah. But I just need to see that green. Last one here. Michigan and TCU.
Hail to the victors. No one's even talking like TCU has a chance in this game. Yeah, that's what's scary.
That's also what scares me because everything you're hearing about this game is just Michigan by 1 billion.
It's not even like they're talking about how they're just going to beat TCU. They're just already putting Michigan in the national championship. And TCU has done nothing to deserve that disrespect.
I'm with you. I think 8 points. I don't think TCU wins this game. TCU wins this game. But I think they could cover. And then we'll talk about the national championship after.
If I'm going to bet Ohio State just to make sure that I'm not completely corrupt in my life, I've got to bet Michigan too.
Yeah.
Because that's the good side.
All right, well, I got to hop off of here. Casey, Reed, you guys are the best. Mike, the best. Schmaltzy. Got to get those, how about that? Got to get those shirts.
Mm-hmm. We need to clip out Casey's hog call.
That's true. If you want to go back and you want to find the bowl pick'em, we haven't figured out the prize yet. There will be a prize, but there's no entry fee. So just go into the Chatterbox Sports Twitter. We also put the link in the YouTube chat if you scroll up far enough. But the link is on Twitter. You can go over there, just click on it, and you pick every bowl. Now, the bowls don't lock until right before the bowl game. So you don't have to pick all 40-some bowl games like tonight. You just have to pick tomorrow's games before they kick off. But make sure you go do that. We have a really good group of people so far.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before we sign off?
No.
Oh, wait. Yes, we do. One thing. Kentucky, UCLA tomorrow. Big one. We had somebody ask about this. Kentucky, UCLA. This is going to be maybe a pick'em at Madison Square Garden. Give me the Bruins in this game. I know.
I love the Bruins.
I'm buying high on UCLA, and I get that after what they did last night, kind of a quick turnaround Wednesday to Saturday. Kentucky's had some time off. Kentucky hasn't played since last Saturday. But I haven't seen enough out of – they've looked better. Kentucky's looked a lot better. But I haven't seen enough out of Kentucky against high major competition yet to really make me think that they're going to go toe-for-toe with UCLA for the whole 40 minutes against a UCLA team that last night beat the number 20 team in the country by 27 points.
Is Lou Alcindor playing?
It's a good question. I haven't looked into that.
I'll take the Bruins.
I don't know. I'm going to take it. I'm assuming.
Regardless of if Lou plays or not.
Well, if he is, that would help.
What
about Kareem? Is he going to play?
Who?
Don't worry about it. If this game is under 3 points, I would take UCLA. If it's up at like 4 or 5, which there's no way it will be, but if it is, then you start to think about Kentucky.
Are you going to bet the Bengals this weekend? I think I'm with you. It's tough. Doesn't feel right.
You know I'm going to pick them on the show tomorrow with Thom. But am I going to bet the Bengals this weekend in Tampa, 3.5?
Off of one team's got as much stock as they've had all season, riding high, and the other team's as low as they've been.
You are buying at the peak of Bitcoin on the Bengals.
Yeah.
And you're buying
FTX.
And you're buying FTX, literally, from their quarterback.
Tough.
It's tough. All right.
Thanks.
We got to get out of here. Thanks to everybody. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, going through every bowl game. Reed, round of applause for Reed for putting in every
Thank you.
graphic.
I only missed like four? 4 out of the 43 bowls.
I think you did a pretty good job.
I think I misspelled at least one. Had the spread wrong in one.
Doesn't matter.
Colors.
It was entertaining. People liked it. Chat, you're the best. Thanks so much. Sports Gambling, Sports Betting 101 on Monday. Look forward to it. See y'all then.
Be at the Avenue on Sunday at 4:30.